chat. Hope everyone's having a good day, good night, good evening,
Hello.
whatever time of day it is for you. Some of you have already seen it, but today we will be talking about the infamous Anthony Grumagalia. I can't pronounce his last name. It's Gramuglia. Most people just call him Ant.
Right.
We've surprisingly never talked about him on the stream before.
We have never talked about him on stream. However, I am very familiar with him, for he is one of the very first people I have ever hated on the internet. Just because I genuinely am not lying. Like, I remember seeing him in like a Twitter thread before Elon Musk even bought Twitter. That way you could scroll the site without having an account.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing several conversations with him, and he was like, yeah, I know that guy like took his life and stuff, but like he wouldn't have been guilty. He wouldn't have done it if he wasn't guilty. And that was when I realized, oh, I think if I have a Twitter, this is why Twitter people are miserable.
But surprisingly, chat, we've never talked about him or any of his takes. I know somebody said, what did he say this time? So this is an old video. Not super old. It's about a year ago. Back when Bochi the Rock had discussions about it being censored. To this day, I do not believe the author actually approved the censorship, regardless of what she said. A lot of people don't understand there is a level of when you're not just with Japanese people, with anybody that's a part of a business like that, there is a level of I am not allowed to talk bad about them online.
Yep.
Sometimes that shit is codified in a contract.
There is only one time. There are very, very few times where authors speak out, and usually they're really big authors, like the D. Gray Man author, and how she was like, I freaking hate D. Gray Man Howlo, and then she proceeds to delete her Instagram for a while.
Yeah. But before we get into that, this is going to be important context for later. I just want to bring it up so we can have the correct definition.
Yes.
So this video is going to be all about fan service. So from fucking Merriam-Webster, which is not the place I would go for the definition of this, but we can. Material included, as in a book, movie, game, or performance, specifically to please fans. Examples: A, entertaining familiar elements such as inside jokes or callbacks of a series or franchise. Sexually suggestive or explicit scenes, such as views of nude or scantily clad characters that are included to titillate the audience. 2, the act, practice, or approach of including fan service in something such as a book, movie, game, or performance. My personal definition of fan service, which is somewhat in line with the Merriam-Webster, is it is something included in a piece of media that is primarily intended just for the enjoyment of the watcher, that has little to no effect on the plot or story itself. So if you could remove the scene and the entire story is basically the same, and the only purpose of the scene was to entertain the watcher, I think that qualifies as fan service. But this is important because, as me and Kendra talk about on previous videos, a lot of these Anitubers, for some reason, believe that the definition of fan service is any level of nudity at all. And that is all they know it as. When that's not what the definition of fan service is. It's never been what the definition of fan service is. And we have to know that before we cover his video.
Yeah.
I have to go a little bit because apparently Kendra's still on a black screen, but Kendra's going to be absolutely flashbanged with this.
Are you going to go to jail for reading manga?
Leave me alone! Ah!
Well, I hate to break it to you, but maybe that's actually a thing that could happen.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
I mentioned this to Kendra before it started. I don't like insulting people, but I have to get it out of my system or it will drive me crazy. His voice is the actually voice. He was just born with the actually voice.
Well, and you're pretentious and privileged, but you know, that's just my definition.
Are you gonna go to jail for reading manga?
Wait, I recognize that. Okay, earlier you mentioned that he has like 3 anime like figures in his background. I recognize that black-haired girl. That's the one. I think that's the one from Do You Like Big Girls?
It might be.
Volleyball series.
So chat, we kind of mentioned it because
Are you gonna go to jail?
I gotta go a little bit because
I think it's
watched
glitching
together
for, like,
messes
last
up.
Are you gonna go to jail for reading manga?
There we go. I might have to go a little bit further.
Manga.
Leave me alone! Ah!
Well,
So me and Kendra were talking about it, and I'll have to move myself down a little bit so you can see it. But you can kind of tell a lot about a person based on their YouTuber background that they do. At least a lot of these live people. And if you notice, this Anituber has surprisingly little anime anything in his background. We have right here a Chobits book. Behind Kendra's antler, we have the Big Girl book. Down here, we have 2 Sailor Moon figures. And then up here, we have a Pikachu with an ice cream cone, which I struggle to qualify as anime because of how ubiquitous Pokemon is at this point. Everything else is Western fantasy. Literally everything else on his shelf is Western fantasy. Almost nothing anime related. And you can only see the Chobits in the Big Girl book because he has them specifically turned outward so you can see it. Although, never mind, we do have Berserk behind his head.
All 5 anime stuff.
All
here.
of this is George R.R. Martin with a Lord of the Rings book dead center of it. I don't understand why. I'm not even sure if the rest of the Lord of the Rings books are in here on the shelf. But it's basically all Western fantasy. And I think I only bring that up because a lot of these people don't really enjoy anime as much as they pretend they do. They like 1 or 2 anime and then call themselves like an anime expert.
It also doesn't help that they don't interact with the actual fan base to like understand some of the jokes and just the inside knowledge. So they're just like, look at all these weirdos and freaks. Unlike me with my literature bias.
Also, chat, I was gonna go a little quicker on him because he does talk kind of slowly.
I hate to break it to you, but
Not that quick. We'll do 1.25.
maybe that's actually a thing that could happen.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
I don't know. Maybe one day you're gonna wake up at 12 a.m. with the cops outside your.
Did it not like lower it how I wanted it? Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm gonna have to just go normal speed.
Oh no.
It sounded more normal when I was listening to it myself.
Your house ready to haul your ass away with all your collections of hentai and gooner figurines and drag you off to the state penitentiary where you'll spend the rest of your days next to a waifu pillow and a guy named Steve because you happen to buy a volume of Dragon Ball, maybe.
I'm concerned.
You know, it's a possibility. You never know. Is it likely? No, but it could happen. They're gonna dump all your hentai into a Iron Mouse pillowcase or whatever for your body pillow. You know, that's what's gonna happen. Or, I mean, you could do that. You know, what are you gonna do? Now, for a lot of people,
I have no idea what he's doing with his preamble, by the way. Like, I genuinely have no clue where he's going with it.
I think he's trying to be self-aware with the joke of like talking about how quote unquote you can get arrested and it's like, oh, look at his anime in the background in that small tiny corner.
Yeah.
fan service matters a lot, I'm surprised to say. It's such a mainstay in the medium of animation that a lot of anime fans just don't really think about it all that much. It's just very normalized. However, for many, fan service is a war.
But war never changes.
A war with winners and losers. And unfortunately, very often, if you're fighting this war, you're already a loser to begin with, but I digress.
See, this is where you kind of end up where it's like, why would you tell that joke? right? Because if that is supposed to be just a haha funny joke, you're like, oh, if you care about any of this, you're already a loser. Well, yeah, maybe I just shouldn't give a shit about anything. Maybe I should be like you and just be fine with everything I love just being ruined.
Yeah, not only that, but I didn't make a 52-minute video about why I think you're quote unquote a loser.
Exactly.
And then clapped. And then clapped.
Also, have you guys noticed that every pause frame I've gotten from him make him look like ridiculously angry for some reason?
Yeah.
He just talks in a way that makes him look angry, I think.
Claim that anime is being censored.
Because especially in this day and age, when it comes to anime, manga, light novels, we are seeing a lot of that
Hi, Spiritu. What's up?
I was about to say.
Also,
Well, you see,
I gotta say, up until today, I've never seen a Spiritu. I didn't know he did live content.
Oh, he makes like videos like this. So I don't watch his content often, but he basically, he does kind of videos like this where he just sits in a room. Some of it's pre-recorded for the most part, but he does stream sometimes.
Well, I mean, he's joined us on streams.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen his Fuji based Edelgard picture in the center. Edelgard did nothing wrong. Anyways,
rampantly kind of very much of apparent that there are some very much bad actors out there that are defending censorship.
And they point to the various cases of manga adaptations changing things to make them less scandalous in some way, while others point to government bodies establishing laws that will restrict and change what you watch.
It's like George Orwell's book, 1984.
But let's take a step back here, because I think one of those is a much bigger issue than the other.
So this is something that people, particularly like Anthony, do, where they're like, yeah, maybe me and mine are getting things censored, but like, we're not the government, bro.
What does that even mean?
He is a part of a large group of people that believe that censorship only counts if the government does it. Everything else doesn't matter. Only if the government does it is it suddenly a problem.
Uh-huh.
However, he's going to immediately go back on that later and change his tune about other than the government.
Okay.
Government overreach is way worse than, say, I don't know, them putting a little more fabric on an outfit, you know what I'm saying? But while many will defend fanservice by calling it what the fans want, I have a different argument. I think fanservice should be defended not because it's enjoyable to fans, but because it's a form of art that can actually communicate meaning. Yes, this is the take I'm going with.
You are not saying that and then putting Golden Boy on screen.
Not only does he say that and then show Golden Boy, which now we've all sat down and we've watched the entire thing of Golden Boy with Royan, so it just makes this scene so much funnier.
The motorcycle humping was like art to the eyes.
But the thing is, I don't want to spoil it, but this video is going to show that he doesn't actually believe this. Like, not at least in any, like, deep philosophical way. It's just something he uses to be like, well, this is fan service I like, so it should stay, and this is fan service I don't like, so it should go.
Mm-hmm.
It is art. You see, I kind of live in this weird middle ground of discussion. I feel like there's people who are like, really hate anything that's scandalous and love everything that's scandalous, but they don't really think about what the scandalous material says and does for the work. A lot of people argue there's no value in fan service in media because they think it's superficial, they think it's extra. And you know what? Sometimes it is. But
by definition, it always is. And that's going to become a huge point of contention in this video, is he genuinely does not know what fan service is.
My thing about it is with these people is like, it's like, I don't think it's important. And it's literally, you picked up the ecchi book. And it's like, I don't know what you expected picking up the ecchi book. It's gonna have ecchi in it. You should probably just go pick up a different book.
Exactly. Or when they talk about women being like sexualized in shonen, they say it's shonen. You're gonna find sexy women in it. It's meant for teenage boys. Yeah, thank you, Internet Zen. I get off Dark Tide and find out there's a mass casualty event in Seattle. What? That's the first time I'm hearing about that. Hope Mizu has something to cheer me up, is what I would have said if Anthony's voice wasn't nails on a chalkboard.
Now, chat. I've heard worse. This isn't even cracking the top 5.
You have to acknowledge there is a middle ground here, one that acknowledges the benefits.
Shake over on Twitch says, oh no, there's porn in my hentai. Who put all this porn in my hentai?
I came here for the story, and it's like, there might be a story, but like, we know why you're here.
Yeah.
Of this. I want to briefly touch upon fan service's origins in history animation. While sex sells has always been a staple in media, I mean, look at the poster for 1 million years BC. That poster right there, they sold 1 million tickets with just Raquel Welch in a bikini. In Japan, it's a little different. You can actually trace the exact moment fan service became a mainstay in the medium, and it's the 70s.
You can't. So the reason you can't is because fan service has been in all media throughout all history. To some degree.
Yeah.
Now, what is considered fan service has changed over the years because people in different time periods valued different things.
And then you also got the different subgenres that go along with it. Like something in superheroes is going to be a lot different than something in, say, again, an ecchi series.
And yeah, chat mentions the octopus painting, which is, by the way, the name of the painting is called Dream of a Fisherman's Wife. Or sometimes just The Fisherman's Wife.
Brother was really missing his wife that day.
But yeah, he seems to believe there is an origin point for sexy fan service. And there's just not. I don't know why he thinks that.
It's like trying to trace back the yaoi girl. You can't trace it just to anime alone because remember, you gotta remember, there's a time before everything. There's a time before anime. There's a time before cinema. If cinema didn't exist, all you would have to do is just go to the brothel.
Exactly.
Like a lot of trends in modern anime, you can thank Go Nagai for modern fans. Go Nagai is most famous for making Mazinger Z and Devilman.
If you ever say that again, I'll rip your fucking head off and shit down your neck, okay?
But the series Cutie Honey really helped make fan service a mainstay in the medium. Honey Kisaragi is a seemingly...
Yeah, so this is why Cutie Honey is even on the thumbnail, is he believes the origin point of fan service is Cutie Honey.
Number one, no. Now, she did help the magical girl genre with transformations in career paths. That was a new thing that popped up. It was even before, but definitely was solidified by Honey. But even Honey wasn't the first fan service anime. There's one where literally everybody just dies at the end.
Yeah.
If anything, he's credited more for pushing the envelope for what shonen should be, which of course included fan service.
Normal 16-year-old girl, 16-year-old Catholic schoolgirl from Japan, no big deal. I mean, she's really an android, but she doesn't know that till later, who has the ability to transform into a magical girl. Of course, to transform, she had to transmute all the clothing away. And this meant two things. A lot of very interesting outfits, and a lot of naked honey. This series, which was an action shonen series, by the way, not a slice of life, shoujo, or what have you. Cutie Honey was an action shonen series aimed for boys. This is unlike a lot of magical girl stories at the time, which were more I Dream of Jeannie or Bewitched inspired slice of life stories for young girls. And
I am not sure I believe that. I will admit that I do not have the education to know whether or not. I just genuinely don't believe it.
It does have origins with that, because there is what is it? I forgot. Because there were some series that did take inspirations from Bewitched and stuff like that. The problem is that, again, wrong order of events. It's just wrong order of events.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm a Doja character now.
Thank you for the Doja character, Gabby.
And again, this is not the origin. It was one of the bigger mainstream characters to push it, but this is not where it started. It's always been there. Literally, they've been trying so hard right now to find the first hentai in anime.
Kind of shifted the levels a little bit here. It was one of the first magical stories to really push towards action-oriented narratives. I think along with Princess Knight, but it's a whole other story. Along with Princess Knight, it was a action series starring a girl, but unlike Princess Knight, it had the go nagai flavor of overt sexualization throughout. Dude, just read Devilman if you want to have an idea of how like really over the top go nagai is with this fan service, even outside of works like this. But Cutie Honey really helped mainstreamify that. Now, fans complain today about censorship in terms of what gets adapted into the anime version of the manga, but they'd have a field day if they saw how reduced the fan service was between the original Cutie Honey manga and its first anime adaptation in the 70s.
So this is something he's also going to end up getting, like, having a lot of issues with, is the TV broadcast standards. And he's like, well, wouldn't you complain if you saw, like, how TV broadcast standards censored it? It's like, yes, people have complained about broadcast standards for decades. The entirety of the first South Park movie is specifically seeing how far they can push the censors. Like, this is not, like, a new complaint.
Not only that, but if you've even seen a little bit of Cutie Honey, everybody collectively knows that. Hold up.
While Kendra does that, Internet Zen for 10, Dream of a Fisherman's Wife, a woodcut from 1814, before America showed up to Japan by 50 years. Japan's been very open about their fan service since before the modern concept of anime existed.
Yes. Oh, sorry about that. I had to close the door for puppies. It is collectively known for the Cutie. Like, you can still enjoy it, but everybody knows, if you've even known a hint about Cutie Honey, the manga is not the best version. Like, it's out there. Yeah. And there's a reason why people like the more kind of like streamlined like original anime version, or the Cutie Honey adaptation by Gainax, because again, it's all streamlined, it's all flat. The manga gets wild, like really, really wild.
Now, much like with Devilman, that came out at the same time, Cutie Honey's anime adaptation took creative liberties to smooth over the edges of the original. Gore, jokes, queer themes, and even the sci-fi elements were completely omitted, if not heavily reduced. There was still some fan service, but it was tame by comparison of what happened in the manga. But from there, manga pushed the bar a little further. Yurusei Yatsura is one big one in regards to that. You know, one of Rumiko Takahashi's earliest works. It had a lot of inappropriate jokes and fan service, and it got adapted pretty faithfully to television. In a similar fashion, Fujiko from Lupin III became a femme fatale icon in 70s anime, and that was in part due to, again, the outfits she wore and her incredible sense of style. Now, fan service would rise to popularity further in the 80s thanks to a number of factors.
See, he's gonna like continue to do this. It's like, well, fan service just got more and more popular. It's like, it's always been popular. Like, you're trying to do this history of fan service, and I can like take out this entire section for you and narrow it down to man see boob hot. Like that. I can wipe the whole slate clean for you and just that's history. That's all of human history. There's no point to him doing this. What?
Oh no, I was trying to see the title. It's literally just Rose of Versailles. At least.
Yeah, fair.
Rose of Versailles.
The first of which is the growing otaku subculture, with anime fans being able to make their own anime after growing up with it in the 60s and 70s. Studio Gainax is a great example of a studio founded on otaku ideals, at least at first, and it incorporated a lot of elements that were designed to make fans happy, specifically young adolescent fans and fans in their 20s who are all male. Well, some people might know Gainax for their infamous Gainax pose that happens in a lot of their shows. They were first.
I don't think you know what the word infamous means. Infamous means bad. I would say the Gainax pose is famous.
It definitely famous, but unfortunately, like a lot of things, it's faded to obscurity for only the people of the old to know.
The old heads.
Yes.
Definitely feels like a good portion of the video is filled with superfluous information to pad out the length of the video. Don't worry.
Yeah.
About halfway through the video, it is going to tank in quality. It's already not great, but it is going to roller coaster down.
There's also the weird inclusion he like did for a few seconds where he was like, "Yeah, no, we were trying to cater to young fans." And it's like, no, no, these were clearly made for adults. It's just that kids got into them because, get this, their parents are adults and are able to buy it.
Yeah,
that's how it always goes.
Famous for.
Also, I don't know what he means by Gainax used to pander to otaku. It's like, what? What do you mean used to?
I can understand I can understand what he might be getting at, as in like, this is like Gainax before they got caught being like abusing their workers and everybody leaving for like 2 different better companies.
Yeah. I mean, they still do. They still pander to the same group. I don't know what he's talking about there.
Let's see.
They called the Gainax Bounce, which I think you can figure out what it means. If you watch Daikon 3 or 4, you can see that all over the place. Those shorts helped establish Gainax as an animation studio that could produce higher quality material. And they'd only get more chances to prove this over time, and of course had more chances to weave in the little fan service throughout. And there's some big titles that we'll discuss more in detail that do that very thing. But another major factor in all this was the growing video market, where anime could be produced without conforming to television practices and standards, or, well, even human decency in some cases.
Really?
Human decency? I mean, I understand being able to not cross the line, but even those things get put into... Sometimes stores don't even put that up. Like, what?
See, this is gonna be a whole bunch of the video where he kind of talks out 2 sides of his mouth. It's like, censorship was only done by the government, and, you know, like, but also that anime, like, creators were flaunting human decency, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I was, I mean, I'm assuming he's gonna bring up Shoujo Tsubaki, because that one I could understand is, like, pushing the envelope, even by, like, normal anime standards. And even then, that one was, like, made by, like, one guy who had to fund most of it himself.
Yep.
And even then, that became, you know, an art, like, that became, like, a staple, because, get this, something that was made back then can't compare to something made today, and it's still, like, a celebration that one guy was able to do that.
Thank you. Toa says, I'm annoyed by how much this guy sounds like Alan Alda to me. Alan Alda does not deserve this. I admittedly don't know who that is. But I am sorry that he shares a voice with this guy.
80s is one of my favorite era of anime because you got a lot of seriously unhinged stuff coming out that didn't conform to market-tested standards, what have you. People were just throwing crap at the wall and seeing what stuck. In some cases, it stuck like stuck like a bad habit. A great example of a show that tried a lot of weird things that went in a different direction later on was Dream Hunter Rem, an OVA series from the 80s, I think 85 specifically. And while Rem became a popular magical series, surprisingly with young teens and girls even, it started as definitely not that at all. In fact, some people have credited Rem with the initial waves of popularity of certain tentacle themed experiences in anime.
So some people may have done that. However, it's literally well known by anybody that does the most minor amount of research that most hentai in general, as well as specifically the tentacle bit of it, comes from Dream of Fisherman's Wife. It is literally the piece that is credited with stoking the inspiration behind most tentacle-based filmography.
Not only that, but the reason why that even came about is because because Japan has like a ban on specific like bottom genitals. You cannot show that. That is literally the only reason why.
So it was like a mix, which is also why with a lot of older hentai, you'll probably see either like a ray of light, or somebody's going to know what I'm talking about, a duckbill. Somebody's going to know what I mean.
Bill? What?
Someone's gonna know. Someone's gonna have seen it, other than me.
What Duckbill? What?
Someone's gonna know. Anyways, thank you, Internet Zen Master. Studios were willing to give more and more money to anime as it grew bigger. Gee, it's like capitalism 101 or something. Simple as. Also, even human decency. Oh lord, it's Tipper Gore transitioned into an ugly-sounding man.
It's always surreal seeing a show that became more popular for families starting off in such a adult-centric medium, but I digress. But I think the early interest in this really showed there was a massive audience looking for animation that were more explicit, more adult-themed, in some cases inappropriate. And a lot of them were available right now if you look for them online. A lot of them are just loose on the internet. It's crazy. Some are available on Retro Crush right now for free. Well, I mean, behind their premium version of their free... You get what I'm trying to say. Some like Bubblegum Crisis and Dirty Pair used fan service to draw in an audience. A lot of people know the character designs from Dirty Pair, for example.
So I'm not saying these two specifically. However, I do need to inform him, because he probably doesn't know this, a lot of OVAs back in the day would not get funding unless there was some level of hentai in it.
Yeah.
That wasn't like they were putting that in because they wanted to. There was a point in anime's history where it was seen as it had to be some level of mature to particularly cater to a very specific audience of people, or else they just would not take a chance on it. So there are multiple old OVAs that have like one extended random sex scene directly in the center of them that has absolutely nothing to do with the rest of the series. And it was specifically to get past that standard at the time.
Someone said like Kite. Yes, Kite is actually a very good example. So back in the day, the creator, I know he came up with a new series recently. Nobody watched it. And what ended up happening was that he went to multiple studios being like, I want to animate Kite. No studio took a job with him, except one hentai studio, and was like, if you let us add sex scenes, then you can have this thing made at high quality. They added the sex scenes, and as a result of Kite's success, they were able to release a version without the sex scenes. So you basically got two for the price of one.
Yeah. So ultimately, I feel like this is him not understanding kind of the history of anime in general. Because he's like, oh, they were adding all this stuff because, you know, fan service was just that big. It's like, no, anime was just that small. Realistically speaking, even when anime was starting to have its boom, it was still small. That's just life. That was the history.
But if you actually watch the show, you might be surprised to realize it's a really good science fiction series. And likewise, a lot of people remember Bubblegum Crisis for that opening theme in the first episode, the heavy metal thing that has a lot of those stylized shots. But if you actually watch Bubblegum Crisis, you get a really good cyberpunk story. So a lot of shows would incorporate fan service and not be totally devoted to it. It would be an extra thing to draw people's attention, but once you're in, there was a lot going on that was really worth watching. There's a reason why these
See, you kind of hear it here, is he sees fan service as a negative addition to series. He's like, if you get past the fan service, there's actually a lot of good stuff going on here.
Yeah, that's not how it works. It's, bro, the whole point is ridiculous looking poster, and then you realize, this doesn't translate to the series at all, but I love all of it for both reasons, because if it didn't exist, then I wouldn't have watched it. It's really not that hard to understand.
Also, thank you, Fail, member for 7 months. Fate/other series started as Aerogaze to sell more. Yep. I think Fate still kind of wants to be an Aerogay, but they don't know how to do it anymore.
I mean...
Just from watching Prisma Ilia, I really think they want to go back to just doing hentai. At least on some level, they want to go back to do just that.
I mean, there was the thing that happened with that with one of the Fate movies where literally they said, "Oh yeah, so you get like all the film, you get like a snippet of the film if you come to the movie," and it did just include a sex scene.
Yeah.
So a couple of people out there have bits and pieces of just the sex scene.
Thank you, Toa.
AKA
Says BGC original is an effing classic. This guy is getting more annoying. Think Bubblegum Crisis. And Massive Doge for $6.90. Is he also talking about the fan service for women? Not really, no.
No, these people never talk about the fan service for women or critique the fan service of women in an honest way, because there is a difference.
Fan service, in their mind, is exclusively woman naked.
Yep.
That is all they think about when they think about fan service.
This is like that one. I was like, it's like that one Tumblr post where people are like, "Hey, so like when you want like a gay character, you want like a lesbian character, you only want to like frolic in fields and hold hands and stuff, right? You don't want to think about an actual naked woman, not for your pure virgin eyes, am I right?"
This day because they're good. I think Gunbuster, though, is one of the highlights from this era, being one of Hideaki Anno's earliest productions, and it's one of his best, in my opinion. The way women are drawn in Gunbuster feels real. There's these little mannerisms that you see.
Yeah. They feel real. No, it was just a style of anime at the time that a lot of people are nostalgic for.
Yeah.
Like, there's entire artist accounts that are dedicated to recreating this style. They don't look any more real than modern anime girls. Not even remotely close.
Even in the fan servicey scenes, that makes them feel more human. They feel like people you'd encounter. And there are scenes where they just open with each other. There's like locker rooms and all that. And they're just talking and chatting. Yes, it is exploitative in some way, but character is first and foremost. These decisions by the storyteller to show something.
What are you talking about?
Again, you have to remember he's coming from the perspective that all fan service is naked woman, and fan service is inherently bad and brings down a story.
I want to like actually say what I want to say, but I know I'm gonna get like canceled in a couple of years anyway, so I might as well just like try and keep my track record as low as possible. But genuinely, have you ever like talked to a woman?
I don't think he has.
Have you genuinely talked with a woman about stuff like this? It's like, man, the bathhouse scene is super exploitative. Yeah, did you want people to be like put on their clothes in the bathhouse or something?
Yeah.
The whole point of the bathhouse scene is number one, naked women. Number two, the vulnerability of art. So you get two for the price of one. Hot women in naked and character development of vulnerability. And guess this, in Japan, bathhouses are normal.
That's another thing a lot of people forget, is not only are bathhouses normal, but they're communal. So there's like it makes sense that people would have like a moment talking to each other at a bathhouse because they would go together. It was even a thing in Naruto. They had both the guys and the girls in bathhouses talking to each other because it's kind of just a thing.
Yep.
Like, yeah, it probably feels weird in America because we don't have them. But you have to understand the country it comes from. And if you're analyzing anime in a 52-minute video, I would expect you would have like a minor amount of, knowledge about the country.
Like, it's only weird to us because we don't have it. But, like, listen, naked women, cultural significance, vulnerability. That's 3 things listed right there for why scenes like this exist. And sometimes it gets either one or the other. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to understand.
Yeah.
Fans wanted to see, sure, but you also got a narrative alongside it. You got character development, furthering an idea of bonds between these women. And of course, the show would veer into some dark.
Can we also talk about the fact that, like, these guys will, like, latch onto these shows about giant fighting robots and be like, God, I don't understand why there's so many naked women in this. And then it's like, it's a show about giant fighting space robots. Who do you think this is made for, you hack?
Giant fighting robots. Get this, most men in the world are into women. Put them together and you have giant fighting robots piloted by hot women.
Thank you, Gabby, for the 69 biddies. It says, dude thinks like a Reddit mod. And then thank you, Massive Doge, for $6.90. Listen, anime tends to have a trilogy worth of lore. to cover. We need the fan service to keep the audience paying attention.
Listen, sometimes it's true, bro. Sometimes the authors literally will admit that. And
Yeah.
that's okay.
It's just a lot of them feel like they think they're watching these super deep shows just because something like Gundam touches on like themes of war. And it's like, okay, it does, but also there's an entire scene for like 20 minutes that's literally just giant robots fighting. Trust me, that's no like deep introspection on the nature of war. That's in itself fan service for people who like watching giant robots beat the shit out of each other.
Not only that, it's like, man, this is about the subject of war. These are giant robots. You know what? I've kind of messed up what I was going to say. Continue.
Dark territory in the second half. I still believe that Christopher Nolan owes Hideaki Anno a check because Gunbuster did what Interstellar did first, and it did it much better. Yeah, I said it. And over time, this became a normal practice in anime. A lot of creators that that became very popular later on got their start drawing doujinshi, which are basically fan comics. And what kind of fan comics people want to read? The ones that are inappropriate. The ones that would never.
So this is, again, like another very Americanized take. Because in America, if you search up doujin, you're really just going to get a porn website. But doujin is not porn. That's just kind of the way Americans see it.
Yeah.
Because we don't see the doujin market in Japan as doujin in America. We see it as a collective manga market.
Yep.
However, in Japan, there is a stark difference between manga and doujin, that we don't really have that separation over here. So instead, we adopted the word doujin to mean, like, porn.
Exactly. Pretty much, the whole thing with doujin is just a fan comic. It's like otaku. People think, otaku is just an anime thing. It's like, no. There was literally pictures going around earlier, like a couple months ago, with like, I think it was Comiket, and literally there was a guy just selling like pictures of like meat he scanned. Yeah. He's a meat otaku. He's weird, but you know what? More power to that guy. That guy's having the time of his life.
But this is why a lot of like Anituber discussions get particularly bad, because there's a bunch of people that get involved in them, like Ant, that really don't seem to know anything about Japan or Japanese culture. And it makes the discussion difficult to have, because it's like, okay, if I actually sat down and critiqued your video properly, the only critique I could give you is that you don't understand a single thing you're talking about. Like, and then thank you, Tella, for 5. Then you have Heavy Object, where the woman is piloting a robot that's literally a 100-foot nuclear-powered ball with tank tracks. I prefer tank mechas, the ones that have like the tank treads, or spider bots.
Oh. I like more like the mini like human mechas like Astro Boy and Nuku Nuku. Those interest me a lot more than like regular mechs.
What about Metabots?
I say it's close, but I think it's more Pokemon adjacent.
Fair.
Digimon.
Thank you, Internet Zen. Okay, finally looking at the dude now, I concur with Gabby. Not only does he sound like a Reddit mod, he has the physiology of a Reddit mod.
Be adapted to a televised show. And so they made these exploitative, very erotic comics, and that proved to people, hey, this artist has a style that's interesting, this artist has a voice that's interesting. Lamb, the creator of Hellsing, there's so many that started with doujin before making really good manga that you've
99% of popular artists are going to have started with doujin. Like 99.9999% of artists, because you don't know what doujin means. You think it means porn. It literally, it's literally just like self-published fan work.
Also, I just also want to point out, why does he keep getting embarrassed in his own video? Just say porn and sex, bro.
Yeah. Or like when he's trying to say like certain tentacle-related artwork creations of moving pictures. It's like, just say tentacle hentai. Like, why is this so hard? You literally spent 5 minutes trying to define tentacle hentai when you could have just said tentacle hentai.
Like, there are, like, I've seen other like actual Anitubers who actually read this stuff and actually embrace the community have created like better ways of saying that without doing the dance that you just did, bro.
Yeah.
Heard of. Now, I also want to point out something here. In the 90s and 2000s, a lot of works started to make fun of how prevalent fan service was. I mean, it was all over the place, so you gotta make some jokes about it. Like how at the end of every episode of Evangelion, Misato Katsuragi teases fan service next episode, a promise that gets increasingly disturbing the further along you go.
So this is another part where a problem comes in, is he thinks that was a joke. No, they were serious. That was not a joke making fun of the existence of fan service. That was a serious thing. And we've covered this before a lot with Ava, and trust me, he's going to get into this on his own, so this is valid to bring up again. A lot of people seem to have this idea that Ava didn't like anime for some reason. It's particularly prevalent among like the Anitubers that think they're smarter than they are. That Ava is some sort of like hatred towards anime and otaku in general. When every level of Ava was very sincere and very much a love letter to all the anime he liked, as well as him working through his depression. But that's a different conversation.
There's also the fact that he just, I don't know why he tried using Excel Saga as like a definition of, oh, they're all making fun of anime, like fan service in anime. No. They're making fun of anime because if you have even watched the first episode of Excel Saga takes itself very little, and I mean microscopically seriously, because I don't know about you. If you've watched anime enough, you'll know between the actual sincere series and the parody series. And Excel Saga is a parody series that critiques all of the anime market and makes fun of itself to the point that there's an episode about how Excel is going to go kill her own creator.
Yeah. I feel like some of these people would unironically watch a hentai and be like, oh, this is a deconstruction of ecchi and how far ecchi's pushing the bar lately. Thank you, Internet Zen. Maybe it's because I live in Seattle and the cultural influence of Japan is particularly strong here. But while the normal reaction to doujin is probably lewd, the idea of it just being fan work was growing a decade ago. You know, people, particularly in the anime fandom, have tried to make this correction a lot more lately. When somebody says, "Oh, is that a doujin? Is this a doujin?" It's like, yes, it's a doujin, but it's not because it's sex, you know. Thank you, Nasco, for the 1 biddy. This loser is not a real anime fan.
Dang.
I don't think he is either. He talks about it a lot. I watch hentai for the plot.
I mean, you can.
I forget the name of it because it was a long time ago, but there was unironically a hentai I watched for the plot because I really wanted the lead female to have a happy ending. And spoiler, she did not.
Oh my god, I'm a doujin character now.
I'm assuming it was Metamorphosis?
No, because that never got a hentai. It's just a regular doujin still. Although there were rumors it was going to get a hentai, and I know for a fact those were fake, but it was funny. It was funny to see people freak out about it.
You want to see this girl get tortured?
Thank you, Toa. Last episode of Excel Saga was them purposely doing everything to make it unfit for TV, including making it 1 minute too long. Yeah, he's the kind of guy that I brought it early in the stream because I believe they're a pretty good example of people kind of giving the middle finger to censors. But I feel like he's the kind of guy that watches the original South Park movie and he's like, this is a deconstruction of how so many people are like inserting curse words into media these days. It's like, no, it's a giant middle finger to the censors themselves.
Like sometimes, Drew, sometimes, like I understand, sometimes there is a deeper meaning to something.
Yeah.
But sometimes the curtains are just blue.
Exactly.
The show, we'll discuss Evangelion later in the video, because trust me, its voyeuristic perspective of its characters is actually really interesting to discuss and deeply disturbing. Of course, mixed in.
Yeah, by the way, he just kind of spoiled it, but he's going to talk about Ava later because he believes the fan service there is meant to disturb and make you feel uncomfortable.
There's only one scene that is meant to make you disturbed and uncomfortable, and it's the one scene that blatantly says, "I am messed up."
Yeah. Thank you, Massive Doge. Wasn't there a period of time where normies accidentally saw Euphoria because there was a TV show with the same name? Yes. Also, Euphoria is one of those shows that deeply upsets me for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean, I don't like it because it's real people. And I
No, I meant the
and I
hentai.
don't even. Oh,
I never watched the Real
well,
People
we are-
show. I'm not watching that shit.
I mean, I don't doubt why it upsets you, considering that every single person that ever encountered Euphoria always comes back with the same conclusion: I can never look at ice cream the same again.
With all this was some pretty weird stuff. Obviously, a lot of people know about the infamous Legend of the Overfiend, a horror erotic OVA series that helped popularize tentacles, if not in Japan, certainly in the West. Though bizarrely, movies like
I want to point
What?
out that he has
No?
now mentioned that 3 different series have popularized tentacles. I think like he's forgotten that in his own script, but he's accused 3 different anime of popularizing tentacles.
Not only that, but tentacle hentai. Well, of course, it didn't influence the West. The porn isn't banned in the West.
Yeah.
Genitals are not banned in the West. Of course, it's not really popular here.
Also, I
Only in
hate
the mean
to
places.
be the tourist, have the tourist take right now. I've literally never heard of that one.
Wait, what? What?
I think he said it was called Overfiend.
No, I've never heard of it either. This is like something you'd probably. What is it? This is probably one of those like OVAs are kind of like all over the place with like whatever one you find, you will find. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think he said it was called Overfiend. I've known everything else we've talked about so far. I've genuinely never heard of this one before.
Yeah.
Possession were already doing stuff like with tentacles in the West already, and movies like Untamed I kind of see as a live action equivalent to what we got in Legend of the Overfiend. If you really want to see that in live action, the Untamed's got you covered there, man. But again, Overfiend was intense. How Rob Zombie even references it in one of his songs. Anyway, there's several shows that knew to take things to new heights to be memorable. One such story is Mysterious Girlfriend X. This manga and anime is on one hand a sweet romance, but it's also hidden in the most exploitative game of spit ever. Jesus, why the fuck did I write that?
Why do you keep calling it
Don't talk about-
exploitative?
We don't talk about Mysterious Girlfriend X.
This is something that like it just keeps confusing me because he sees like blatant fetish content and he seems to think it's like some kind of important story element. And it's like, no, it's just fetish.
Yeah, if you've even seen like a hint of Mysterious Girlfriend X from back in the day, everybody collectively is like, yeah, no, this is like the creator's spit fetish. Like, it's nothing but a spit fetish. There is no art. There is no exploitation. It's just this brother wants to consume some woman's spit.
Yeah.
Why they even write that? Mysterious Girlfriend X is just gross in my opinion, but it does a really great romance. If you like that sort of thing, you can get past,
That's not the reason why you would not watch that series. It's literally just because you're not into a spit fetish, bro.
Yeah. It's such a really good romance if you can get past the fact that it's entirely a spit fetish series.
the slimy exterior of it all. And I feel like at times the fan service got in the way of the story. A good example of this is Elfen Lied. If you thought the anime was a lot, the manga's way more, and it kind of bounced between deep horror and like Love Hina style harem hijinks. It's weird. Got more and more fetishy as it went on, and it's just bizarre and uncomfortable. And there's a reason the anime is.
That's the point. I don't know if how'd you miss that? Because that's like the first episode, right?
This
Where
is
like
my thing.
she literally
What's like-
slaughters a room full of people, including like an innocent little secretary lady, gets domed in the head, and then wakes up going mew mew like a fucking cat.
This is like my thing that I like hate about people that do stuff like this. They'll be like, I can't stand the fan service or underage fan service or any of this stuff. And if you're uncomfortable with that, fine. But I can sit through dismemberment, beheadings, and literal children being torn bit to pieces in like several different fashions and stuff like that. But the fan service is where I draw the line. And it's like, you sound weird and psychotic.
Yeah.
If you don't like one, you shouldn't like the other. And if you can sit through that, like what is it? It's like that one person who was like, man, I hate that Don has fan service during this scene. It's so weird. And it's and they should have been made into college students. And it's like, you can't sit through an essay of a literal high schooler, but you can sit through the essay of a college student. That's what it sounds like.
So Internet Zen says Overfiend, aka Uretsuko Doji, was an OVA anime 1987 from a manga from 1985. Bro is literally ripping off the Wikipedia articles for his script. So I pulled up the Wikipedia for that after he said that. Third paragraph of the Wikipedia for this is, it has been credited with popularizing the trope of tentacle rape. And the Erotic Anime Movie Guide calls it a formative work of the hentai genre. So yeah, he pulled it popularized tentacle hentai from the Wikipedia article. Which, fun fact, if you hover over the tentacle hentai, it literally takes you to the page Dream of Fisherman's Wife.
This dude wrote for CRB, the Mary Sue, the Gamer, and the Anime Feminist. None of these words are in the Bible. Sorry.
I do have a feeling that he's just been going down the pathway of Wikipedia and then just ignoring like certain parts of Wikipedia. Like
sorry.
You go.
Sorry. Oh no, I was saying to somebody, there was like, it wasn't essay. They were literally trying to dissect Momo. I'm not talking about the dissection scene. I'm talking about the literal like assault scene where it's portrayed in a bad light. And they were like, why couldn't Momo have been a college student? It's like, you could sit through college students being harassed like this? Okay, bro.
Yeah.
Is remembered for being, kind of hokey and too edgy for me, and the manga is that thing you see in every bookstore that's hidden in plastic wrap. Then something happened, not just to fan service, but the anime medium in general, and that's moe.
So we covered this a while back. Moe had already kind of well on its way started by this point.
Not only that, but it wasn't K-On! That did it. If we're really going to go back on Moe, we're going to go back to 2chan, and no one ever wants to touch 2chan. and gamers with digi-carrots. But because this is, K-On! Is the most popular show of the evening until Bochi comes, we gotta only talk about the mainstream stuff.
Yeah. But we talked about this like a couple of weeks ago. Moe started well before this. Moe had kind of been going on for almost the entirety of anime. Not the entirety, almost the entirety.
What is it? I would say because there's a time, so there's Moe, and then there were anime that were made specifically to gear to Moe type crowds. That was in the 90s. That was not in the 2000s. And everybody would know that. But because we're only talking about the mainstream stuff, and none of these people will ever watch digi-carrots in their life, let us continue.
Yeah. Also, you guys can't see it, but the title for this section is The Moe Era, Haruhi Suzumiya and Clannad.
Haruhi Suzumiya is not Moe.
Don't worry, we're going to have a lot of conversations about Haruhi Suzumiya.
The moe art style emphasized cute and adorable characters that made you want to protect them at all costs. Vulnerable, sweet,
So, this is where he's immediately fucking up again, because he thinks what is now basically the standard anime style is the moe style. So that's going to you have to think about this stuff when he starts saying this, because it's going to color every single thing he talks about.
And the thing is like K-On! Does fall into the style of moe and everything, but it is not like it's just a mainstream anime that has moe characters in it. It is not the moe anime.
Yeah,
we have several other series like The Order is a Rabbit for that.
most anime characters today. But when did Moe start? Well, I really have no idea, and no one really knows either. I tried looking it up, and
What are you talking about?
You think
I'm
that
gonna keep quiet.
you can trace the exact date to when they started doing fan service in anime, but you can't figure out where Moe started?
And number one, we do know when it started. It started in the 90s. So there you go. It started in the 90s because you just went back from the 80s, skipped it over the entire 90s, and then went straight to the 2000s. I'm actually going to throw myself on the floor.
Toa says the mid 2000s style term he's looking for is puni plush. No, it's the Moe style. You just don't understand.
You don't understand. Any anime girl with big eyes. Dream Hunter Rem does not count. Any anime with big eyes is Moe, except anything before the 80s.
some pointed to Sailor Saturn from Sailor Moon as
Sailor
one of the first true
Moon
Moe
is not
characters.
Moe. Oh my gosh!
I saw some people point to Cosette from Les Miserables, oddly enough, because it had a resurgence of popularity in Japan about the same time as the musical, and there's a lot of Cosette-themed anime that exists. This was a thing I kind of knew already, but I didn't realize how many Les Mis anime they are. There's multiple, and they all star Cosette for some reason. I guess because Moe. I mean, personally, if you ask me, Moe characters have been around since the beginning, though I'd probably point to Magical Girl Minky Momo as being one of the first more overt Moe characters, but again, that's a show for really young girls, so maybe that's less Moe and more trying just to appeal to young girls. Moe's a different kind of thing. It has the...
He's making Moe way too complicated.
Number one, here's the thing. Anime like Minky Momo and other magical girl series, yeah, that's where it technically started, but those character designs were already set in stone.
Yeah.
There's a difference between those character designs being set in stone and making genuine anime geared toward actual Moe like fans and stuff. Again, stuff like Digi-Carrots, stuff like the whole like gamers like market and stuff like that. Like visual novel stuff like Air and Clannad and all the like most of Key, like early Key stuff.
I think
And
we
this
need
guy's
to
just-
also point out that he literally said Moe started in the 2000s, and then as he kept talking, he just kept going further and further and further back. And I just want you guys to think about everything we've heard in the last 2 minutes and think of how much of it actually makes sense together. Because it doesn't. He's like, oh, Moe was something that started in the 2000s with K-On! And Clannad and Haruhi Suzumiya. But also Moe was a thing that was kind of in the 1990s. But also Moe was a thing that was kind of in the 1980s. But also you could argue that Moe started, like at the very beginning.
You see, Moe has existed since Adam and Eve, but then it didn't, and then the rapture happened, and then Moe proceeded to come back on a white horse.
Yeah. Like, he keeps going further and further back after telling us, yeah, it started in the 2000s. And it's like, this is a scripted video. Did you not read that script and be like, maybe I should just say it's been there since the beginning?
No, Mizu, these people don't read.
Protective angle to it too. You want to protect the poor characters. And Sailor Saturn, I think, gets a lot of those elements all in one. She embodies many of the early tropes of this. She's this frail, sickly girl, and the characters fight over her. She has those big eyes. Oh, and Sailor Saturn's name, it's Hotaru Homoe. Moe.
I think I'm gonna actually beat my head against the wall. Brother took a common Japanese name and was like, I can form a bridge together. My thoughts are aligning for this moment.
Yeah, she's even got Moe in her name. Gabby for a couple biddies. It says time is relative. Moe's origin is omnipresent.
I want you to keep in mind for you guys. Moe is like Tomoe is like a really common Japanese name. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, the main lead, Tomoe from Kami-sama Kiss, that's literally a male name.
Yeah. I would have to look up the exacts, but Tomoe is maybe not as common as Smith is in America, but it's pretty damn close.
It's not that common that like there's Japan has their own version of like John and Jane Doe.
Yeah.
But this is common enough where you look this up and it's like, here's the etymology.
You could look up anime Tomoe and literally find like 300, 400 characters. He's literally like throw a dart at a board and there is a non-zero chance you're going to hit a Tomoe. It's not like some super unique name that only a couple Japanese people have.
So it's the Jordan of Japan. Maybe.
Thank you, Internet Zen. I tried looking up Anthony, my guy. We know your level of research is just looking at Wikipedia. Of course you won't find anything. The script is so incoherent, it's starting to feel like it's ChatGPT. And then thank you, Starry Night Official. They say that's just a name. Yes, it's just a name. It had nothing to do with Moe as a genre.
Is built into her name. So yeah, I see why they point to Sailor Saturn so often as the origin point of Moe. Now several characters can arguably be considered Moe throughout the 90s and early 2000s. But I guess as more creatives became aware of this growing trend in fandom, they decided to make characters.
I'm surprised you're not going to sit here and give us a 10-minute lecture about how this show is a deconstruction.
No. There's already a video out there that actually does a better deconstruction of Orimo than whatever this guy could do. And it literally goes into, yes, this is a deconstruction of Orimo. However, we all know that how it's gonna end. We all know he's gonna end up with his sister.
Yeah. Everybody wanted him to end up with his sister.
Oh no, everybody wanted him to end up with Kuroneko, and then everybody was sad because Kirino's the worst girl in Orimo.
I wanted to end up with his sister.
It's okay, Mizu. We all know you have trash days.
Brother, if that was my sister, we would be smashing every day.
More deliberately Moe. Characters that you want to protect at all costs. Cute girls with rounded faces and these frail bodies who are sometimes profoundly ill or vulnerable. And then they...
What do you think Moe means?
Also, Rosen Maiden isn't a Moe series. The whole premise is just that they're cute dolls. Most dolls are cute. You do know that, right? You've seen our Barbie doll. You've seen a doll, right?
I'm starting to get confused. Like, what do you think Moe means? Like, what? They're Moe because they're cute girls you want to protect that have an illness. It's who told you that was important to Moe?
Not only that, but literally, Moe is just they're cute, and it's basically cute it's basically the opposite of cute aggression.
Yeah.
It is quite literally, I want to protect this character, not because they're sick or because they have an illness, because they're literally
cute.
An archetype. They're cute. They follow certain archetypes. They're all cute. They're all adorable.
Thank you, Tella. Fun fact, Japan has the most diverse set of last names in the world because they were one of the last cultures to adopt last names for their people before it was limited to just the emperor's family. And then Internet Zen says, according to Google's AI, Tomoe is the 299th most common forename in Japan. 1 in 1,400 people are named Tomoe. Also, I'm half expecting him to say Kagome from Inuyasha is Moe.
Yeah. Listen, we still got people who are still dumb about Inuyasha right now because they're like, you see, Rumiko didn't want to sexualize Kagome. Little did they know, Rumiko made more works than Inuyasha.
Exactly.
Literally founded waifu culture.
Cross it over with fan service. Now, when Moe as a style, because it's not really a genre, it's more of a style, took off and kind of consumed fan service.
It can be a genre. unto
Yeah.
itself. Like, I wouldn't say it's a primary genre. I would say it's like a secondary genre, which I do believe there are primary and secondary genres.
Yeah. Like, you'll know a moe series compared to just a regular series with cute girls.
Exactly.
Changed. And I know because, look, I'm not an expert, but I had eyes.
We know you're not an expert.
I was an anime fan in the 2000s. There's a distinctive period in time before Haruhi Suzumiya and after Haruhi Suzumiya. It's not like a sharp line, really, but it's like, before that, you had these different types of characters.
I do not really believe this. I'm not saying that Haruhi Suzumiya wasn't influential. It was definitely influential. But to me, it definitely feels like a tourist take to be like, there's this hard line in between pre-Haruhi and post-Haruhi anime. It's like, there's really not.
My thing is, he's saying there's a time before Haruhi and after Haruhi. He's not saying that for K-On!, which I would say and argue that had even a bigger impact to Haruhi, considering that Haruhi may be dead, but the racist K-On! Profile pictures will live on forever.
Yeah. Like, Haruhi was big and it was influential, but there is not, like, before Haruhi and after Haruhi. Especially when we're talking about moe as a genre.
Yep. It also doesn't help that just, like, again, like, K-On! Is, like, right there in the room. That one had, like, an even more of an impact in regards to moe culture, considering that they were genuinely targeting stuff. They were genuinely targeting, like, otaku who wanted moe. And even the directors themselves were like, I can't do this specific scene like in the original light novel because that would be too crude. So let me moeify and make a moment really more adorable to solidify its impact. Like you don't really see that for Haruhi. It's literally just talking about how, like, we want to make Haruhi look as cool and awesome as possible.
Also, Angel's Advocate, yes, Haruhi was the anime that had the one arc that was the exact same episode with slightly different changes, with slightly different variations, and a slightly different ending. I think it was like 11 times. It was 8. I think it was 8 or 11 times. I don't know why I always forget the number.
It's the Endless 8.
Yeah, Endless 8. Which a lot of people think it's very important to the series. I genuinely think the Endless 8 should have been 3 episodes.
Well, most people think the Endless 8 should have been 1 episode. Also, yes, Lucky Star is actually a moe series. Heck, there's even like a joke about how they're actually actors, and that's just how they look like in the show, from like our perspective as an audience and stuff, and they look completely different. But Lucky Star is a moe show.
I think Endless 8 would be really good as 3 episodes, with 2 episodes that have very slight variations. And then the 3rd episode being a sort of a montage of him going through it every single day, like just the ending of the day, to showcase his reaction each time.
I think, if I remember correctly, one of the reasons why that happened is because, ironically enough, the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, and they were like, well, we're going to turn this into an arc. And then everybody was like, well, this is actually kind of complicated, so we're going to turn it into a movie. That's how we ended up with that.
Yeah. But I could have seen the Endless 8 actually being good as a 3-episode piece. And really impacting people that way. As 8 episodes, by the end of the 4th episode, you're like, I don't even think I'm going to watch this anime anymore. You're just kind of done with it already.
Listen, guys, remember, as much as we all love the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, you can blame it for the Endless 8.
Yeah. Starry Night says, by the way, I hate how this man pronounces words. Pronounce the entire word, asshole. He does, for some reason, like, keep skimping on the end of his words. I don't know what that's about. It's a very weird, like, verbal tick.
Could just be the way he speaks.
Yeah, but it gets annoying.
Yeah.
After that, for the next 5 years, it was moe blobs everywhere. I think a big reason for this is with the moe era.
5 years?
Haruhi Suzumiya did 5 years of moe blob.
Again, beef with just Haruhi literally just shows multiple footage of K-On!
Yeah.
Characters were de-emphasized in favor of fitting the moe archetype. Every moe character felt kind of similar and vulnerable in a way that, well, we saw already. And because of that, I think it drew attention to how many tropes.
You see this gut-wrenching scene of
Code
Nanali
Geass.
literally be like, gosh, this moe character is so adorable. I want to protect her, literally stopping her brother from eating more.
This is what I mean, is I don't think he knows what moe means. Because now it's not just Haruhi is moe, and like, you have a stronger argument for Kaon being moe, but now you're saying Code Geass is moe.
Well, yeah, Nanali has an illness, and she's cute and adorable. Ignore the fact he's also like, if you're hearing what he said right now, he's like, characters stopped being about characters. They're just trying to fit an archetype. Literally puts a character on screen that's trying to be more than the archetype.
Yeah.
They were in anime at this time, and how many shows were kind of repeating the same cycles of things. And then it took over everything.
So, by the way, I have to bring this up because a lot of people complain about like anime character archetypes, right? There's like literally 12 or 13 different dere types, right? Like at some point where there are so many archetypes that are commonly used, you have to be like, well, maybe it's not a problem because there's so many of them. If there was like 2 or 3, I could see your complaint because we're seeing the same character like 2 or 3 times. But specifically with just quote unquote the girlfriend character, there's literally like 13 different deres that she could fall under.
Not only that, but like he does realize, because I recognize this series, if I remember correctly, it's Nyan Nyan Biori. This is a slice of life series. He's literally being like, he's literally critiquing slice of life series for being slice of life.
Yeah.
Be like, this falls under the archetype of girl.
Seemed. The biggest push came from Kyoto Animations, aka KyoAni. Now, KyoAni is a fantastic...
You have not earned the right to call them KyoAni.
Yeah.
You call them Kyoto Animations, you fucking heathen. Respect on the name.
Also, you can't say KyoAni and only, like, Haruhi did 5 years of Moe and not know KyoAni's just entire reputation. They made Air. They animated Air, an actual Moe eroge, and then made it even more Moe to the point where people say, I hate bug-eyed anime girls because of Air alone.
Yeah. Like, it feels like you know very little about any of this, and you're kind of just winging it.
Animation studio who've done a lot for the industry. They're one of the few studios, for example, that paid their artists a fair, livable wage, and they also experienced great tragedy when their head studio was burned down. So nothing I'm saying is shade on KyoAni. In fact, most of the shows I think are really good, but they are kind of accountable for pushing the Moe style so hard. And again, it's not every studio. Again, there was Bleach, Naruto, that all came out at the same time, and they weren't really all Moe-fied either. But thanks to KyoAni, you got Haruhi Suzumiya. They also put
which is not Moe.
Air. Also, he's putting these anime out of order. Air came out like in 2000. I think the anime came out like 2001.
Yeah.
Also, he tried comparing Naruto and Bleach to Moe anime, and it's like, those are anime for kids.
Air came out in 2000, in the 2000s. The game did.
Okay. Yeah.
The actual animation came out in 2005.
Oh, okay. I always end up mixing dates with that.
Haruhi, the actual light novel, was not published until 2003.
Okay.
So when was the actual anime out? Manga. The anime wasn't until 2006. So both the game and the anime Air were out before Haruhi Suzumiya.
Go watch Air. You're going to be highly confused after the first watch, but after 5 watches, you'll understand the plot. An Air fan.
Yeah. But like Kendra's saying, he should have at least checked the dates on these. Like, it feels like you didn't look at like the timeline of anything you were talking about.
out Air, Cannon, Lucky Star, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, K-On!
Also,
Okay,
I
we
don't
skipped
understand
way
why-
ahead in the future, by the way.
Also, I want to like talk about how he mentioned the canon anime. If he would have done his research properly, KyoAni was not even the first one to do a canon adaptation. That was Toei Animations. Get this, the same studio that animated One Piece and Dragon Ball. So he literally is like trying to credit all this to like only KyoAni, and it's like, no, there were other studios doing it. Heck, some of them were doing adaptations at the same time or a few years apart. It's just that, you know, KyoAni has like really pretty animation. That's why they get recognized more.
Yeah. It's also, you kind of have to mention like how far ahead we skipped, because everything he's mentioned is in the like 2000s, and then he just randomly throws in Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, which came out almost 10 to 15 years later.
Yep. There's also the fact that he just doesn't mention Nishijo, which I'd actually argue there are a couple of Moe characters in that one. Somebody also said Air is similar to Clannad, Canon, and Anohana. That's funny because Air, Clannad, and Canon are literally the key trilogy, and Anohana is just made that by that one animator that did Maquia, that one movie that people like to just throw around every once in a while because it makes you cry.
Yeah. Thank you, Internet Zen. Haruhi aired in 2003. He said the anime was all Moe for the next 5 years. Anime during that time: Grenadier, Hellsing, Black Lagoon, Code Geass, Dark Then Black. That's all off the top of my head. Moe was big, but not that big. Well, this is a thing that a lot of Western people, a lot of Western Anitubers struggle with, is there is a certain lens of anime that we have been given that is not what the actual scene was like in Japan. A fantastic example is the Big Three. The Big Three is not a thing in Japan. The Big Three is exclusively an American Toonami thing that kind of got branched out to nearby other countries. Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece have never been considered the Big Three of anime in Japan. That was never a thing. One Piece was, but...
Was it? Someone said, does the Higurashi count as Moe? So this is actually a good question because Higurashi was actually one of the few series that did actually go out of its way to play on the Moe archetypes, which is why it was so groundbreaking and horrifying. It's one of the reasons why the Dean anime looks as good as it does, because it basically was able to convert that style and make it as horrifying and distorted as possible.
Yeah.
Jury's out on the modern adaptions, though.
Favorite show of Nazis online.
I knew he was going to bring up the fucking K-On! Profile pictures.
Apparently.
Wow,
That's the best
I actually
meme
felt
ever.
myself die a little inside.
And arguably their crowning achievement in the Moe landscape, Clannad and Clannad After Story. And Violet Evergarden would come out later from KyoAni, but Clannad was their real big show that I think really proved how they could make something really moving and not just fun and entertaining. Clannad After Story is proof that Moe as a style is not inherently bad and can in fact
It was never inherently bad. You just hate cute shit because you're a joyless fucking husk of a man.
Yeah. Mostly because, like, again, Clannad's a good series. I need to finish it one day, but I couldn't get into it as a child. But it's a good series. And again, this also discounts the fact that, again, this started as a visual novel. They kind of had to write them well for it to sell. Them being able to adapt it is like a bonus.
Yeah.
enhance and enrich some of the most deeply, profoundly depressing moments in anime ever. I think the scene in After Story involving the daughter in the snow, we're putting clips up right now. You know what happens in this scene. If you've seen this show and you didn't cry like a baby watching it, you're lying to yourself. Or have it, maybe you just, irony poisoned. I don't know to tell you. Hell, 4chan was sad when that aired. And again, Clannad's where that style works best. It's an art style that keeps you deeply connected to the set of characters that are being shown to you. And then they cruelly kill them off in front of your eyes from illness. Again, this is why I think Cosette from Les Miserables is probably the perfect moe character pre-Haruhi Suzumiya, because the goal is to make you hurt in your soul watching her. Yes, you in particular. The problem comes when these characters are being infantilized as well and made into...
We are not putting Kanata here. Oh my god. Do you know about this series?
I don't, although I think it's very funny that they also put up the P anime as well. Like, infantilized. Everybody in that's technically an adult.
The thing is so I'm familiar with Kenon-Con because I found that way too young, but the opening is a bomb. This is the most shameless fan service series that you will ever encounter. You will not even look at the cover of this series and think, I think this is going to be a safer work series. Literally is like the modern day equivalent of what I like to call lemon boobs for how tight the clothes are on these girls and how like heavy the body blush is in focusing on the girls. Literally one of them is a fox girl that strips down naked. It is just, you can't look at this series and think, you know what? I'm gonna come in for a sweet romance.
Yeah.
Useless blobs that are then put into fan service situations. See what I'm going at?
Now, as you may know, I'm not a fan of fan service. It's not because I don't like the female.
I want to point out, chat, that if you get the Blu-ray for Kanokon, this is what it looks like.
I told you!
I have
This
no
anime
idea what I'm
is
getting
shameless.
into with this. I wonder what this show is about.
Oh, keep in mind, I think it took like also years for this Blu-ray to come out because this thing it came out last year, and I'm like, Canon in the big 2025. Someone remembers this?
Form. I do. However, it's just the sheer amount that is in anime these days.
Some stories imagine
Yeah, nobody cares.
Listen, I like Masako X too, but he's mainly good for Dragon Ball Z Abridged Gohan and Goku, and it should stay that way.
Internet Zen says, sorry, Mizu, I'll mock the eye placement of Clannad because of how wonky it looks. No, that's a modern criticism that a lot of people have of it, is the eyes were just too far apart. And the thing is, they fixed that by just making the eyes bigger.
Yeah, not only that, but if you look at the visual novel compared to the anime is more normal because they actually had to like design them to be shown at different angles when animating. The anime, the visual novel, on the other hand, oh my gosh, will you be like, let's shrink that down a bit.
No scope, no problem says, I like boobs, but I hate when lots of boobs.
this out. There's the Western visual novel Katawa Shoujo, which balances out moe characters.
Why did you say it that way? Why did you say it that way?
Katawa Shoujo.
Katawa Shoujo.
It sounds like something that like Scary Movie would do as a racist caricature. Oh, Kawakami Tsunami.
Hyundai Toyota.
Tsunami.
Onigiri Banzai.
That Karate Juno Sumo Samurai.
We're going to hell.
With a romantic story about a teen falling in love with disabled girls. Katawa Shoujo is one of the most...
You're going to say it this way the entire time, aren't you?
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
surprisingly good things I've ever read. I am stunned that the concept of a love triangle story in a school for the disabled somehow turned out to be so moving and wasn't like really cheesy, but it works somehow. But most don't do it all that well. I think all you gotta do is watch Manga Sensei to see how it can go really badly.
Are you seriously trying to... Oh my god. This is the problem with people that do stuff like this. Quite literally. People will look at all of anime and think it's all porn. This guy looks at all anime and thinks all of it needs to be philosophical. Because what do you mean? Even Ero Manga Sensei, by its name, is something you are not supposed to take seriously. It is literally erotic master.
Yeah.
Erotic manga master.
I also have to point out that the visual novel you just like praise to high heaven, like most don't do it this well. You know it's not Japanese, right?
Yeah.
You know it's from 4chan.
Yeah.
It's literally called the 4chan visual novel.
Not only that, like it's technically from Japan because it like ironically enough came from the back of a Nausicaa porn that porn dojin. And what ended up happening was that 4chan was like, we're gonna make it this actual legit, and it like had a rocky road that really was not supposed to have it released, and then it released anyway really well.
Yeah.
Problem is again, you got people like this who are like, man, I can't believe it. Man, why is this visual novel from 4chan so good compared to the Japanese product of Ero Manga Sensei, the erotic manga master?
Yeah. Thank you, Toa. Kanokan equals Fox Girl Yokai and Wolf Girl Yokai trying to jump a Shota who is unknowingly the sex god yokai.
He's not wrong about that. That's literally the plot of Kanokan.
I see no problem with this.
俺はお前のことが好きだ。でもな、俺はお前の兄貴になりたいんだ。兄弟で恋愛なんてありえないだろ。
Now, in terms of fanservice being made illegal, remember that's what the video was about this whole time. They had
Yeah, remember, that's technically what the video was about, even though he didn't actually say anything about that. Other than, like, some nonsense, like, maybe one day you could be arrested for it.
two core discussions. There's one where fan service is being actively censored in adaptations, and the other where it's becoming literally censored by government bodies and corporations, but I digress, where it's a crime to have fan service. But again, we'll get there. Let's start with the easier thing to discuss because things change in adaptation all the time, and I don't think it's really an
Notice how if it gets fully censored, it's a problem. But if it's only getting half censored, well, then that's not really that big of a deal. Which you
like how I recognize. Sorry.
I was gonna say, he needs to understand that well, it's okay if it gets half censored some places. That is the slippery slope to getting censored everywhere. That is how it starts. You dumbass.
I like how I recognize this. I just recognize this entire screenshot.
Yeah.
Go watch Summertime Rendering, everybody.
Thank you, Internet Zen. In other words, it's the old 4chan equivalent of the snoot booping high school visual novel game that was made to spite Canada. Good to know. Yeah, no, they also made Snoot Game to make fun of a furry game that was in development hell called Goodbye Volcano High. Except the shoujo game wasn't made to, like, spite anybody. It was genuinely just made out of, like, a love for anime.
And because they were like... Oh, sorry.
There you go.
Oh, no, it was, just to add on, it was also made because they're like, why don't we have a visual novel about disabled girls we want to romance?
Yeah.
Let's make that.
The Snoot Game was genuinely just about spiting somebody, which is why it's funny that it turned out so much better than Goodbye Volcano High. Also, yes, Goodbye Volcano High did come out, and people said it was still better to just go play Snoot Game.
Issue that's all that big a deal beyond, well, you'll see what I'm talking about. After all, as we showed, the OVA market blew up in the 80s and 90s because you couldn't.
Yeah, why are we still showing Golden Boy? Do you know what Golden Boy is about? Have you watched it?
Well, I like Golden Boy's fan service because if I disagree
Drinking
with
out of a
Golden Boy's
toilet or
fan service,
something, I don't know. Is there something you'd like to tell us about your particular brand of fan service?
Show certain things on TV. You had to go to video to do that. So there was always a push between creatives and what you could put on television. But if you're working within the television system, you gotta conform to its standards or you get kicked off the air.
Dipper gets a flyer from Wendy for a Halloween party, and it said on it like, Halloween party, bottles will be spun, no photos better wind up online, and they're like, bottles will be spun, spin the bottle reference. Impossible, never on the Disney Channel. We budged before, this is the last straw, so I was like, okay, replace bottles will be spun with not S&P approved. I was just basically being a dick at that point, and they were like, our audience won't understand that reference. I'm like, yeah, but is it like against the rules? And they're like, not S&P approved, has been approved by S&P.
That's happened too. If your show is being marketed towards a certain demographic and shows things that are inappropriate for that demographic, even in Japan, you're gonna get pushback. So that things have to change at the creative level. They're putting a lot of money in this project. They gotta make some cuts here and there. A manga, you can put whatever you want in that, really, as long as it's published by the editor. But if it's on TV and multiple jobs on the line, make sure it makes a profit. Now, it is important to know a lot of people don't understand how Japanese television standards work, how time slots in Japan,
including you. We're gonna get into that, but he is like, you guys don't understand like all this complex stuff. Just before he's gonna get into like a long explanation of why he doesn't understand any of it either.
Not only that, but here's the thing. People have been complaining about the censorship for years. Number one, a good example is anytime a middle finger is on screen.
Yeah.
Because there's like a thing in the One Piece anime where Law looks at Kid and he just stares at him. Whereas in the manga, Law just flips him off.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, that makes a lot more sense than just stare. I think it was either staring at him or just shooting. Like, what is it? Staring at him or just shooting up his index finger? And it's like, why would you? That's so weird.
Yeah. Like, he says this as if Japanese people themselves don't complain about the censorship. Like, it's a discussion that happens in their country. It's literally currently happening in their parliament about, like, if they should be lifting more and more censorship requirements.
Yep, and then there was the whole thing of, oh yeah, we also got to make sure that people overseas don't damage our name by misrepresenting our culture. That's why the Ghost of Tsushima was so popular, because they did it more accurately than the people in Tsushima. Or the whole stuff that happened with Yasuke.
Oh, don't worry, we're going to get into that, and he's going to completely misunderstand that.
Oh no. Oh, this video is that old?
It's only a year old. 11 months.
And
that's sad.
An example of a story in the West running wild despite nothing confirming it being true from the Japanese side of things, was a story that was spread by plagiarist James Summerton. Though he, of course, like all things James Summerton said, did not come up with this himself, he stole it from someone else. Yuri on Ice, one of the most popular animes of 2016, was a sports show with a lot of gay themes, and a lot of fans watching it were questioning, the show barely shows the main lead's kiss. So why was that the case? Well, a lot of people argued, and James Summerton echoed, that the reason Yuri on Ice wasn't more explicit with its relationship was because it was airing on a family television time slot. And because of that, Japanese television will not let them show Yuri or Victor hold hands or kiss or whatever, even though they do hold hands and kiss in the show. This is dumb though, because A, there were gay shows on those time slots also, but Yuri on Ice didn't debut on a family time slot. It debuted at 2:30 in the morning. So that doesn't apply unless.
So this is something that he gets wrong as well, where the accusation was it happened on a family channel, therefore it could not happen. And his argument is, well, it wasn't on a family channel, it was at 2:30 in the morning. Yeah, it was still on that same channel. That's not to say these guys are correct. It's that the fact that when you're debunking them, you completely forgot what you just said literally 5 seconds ago. He's not boding well for your understanding of this subject.
Not only that, but he's like, oh, Yuri on Ice is a series with a lot of gay themes. No. It's a series with a lot of yaoi pandering. And I know, because I was there.
It's literally yaoi fan service.
Literally, before when the teasers came out, everyone made fun of the fact that this was gay until it was actually gay.
Yeah. And then thank you, Toa. The censorship is a giant feather bedding operation. I think it's going to be an uphill battle getting rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. What is it? It was literally dubbed Yaoi on Ice.
Yeah, that's what everybody called it.
Year-olds are really getting up at 2:30 to watch an ice skating anime. This doesn't really hold much water. But that said, many shows do get shuffled around due to content.
Would you care to explain why there are 4 different girls in your room?
A great example of this is Interspecies Reviewers, a show that goes.
So, Interspecies Reviewers got shuffled around because apparently nobody gave a shit to read the synopsis of it. I found out this, by the way, too. This happened in Japan as well. Apparently, even in Japan, nobody gave a shit to actually read the synopsis of this show, which is literally two guys sample monster girls and review them in a brothel. And apparently just nobody fucking read the synopsis of it.
I thought it was an isekai like every other isekai out there.
Yeah, so interspecies reviewers didn't just get kicked off Crunchyroll, which immediately stopped dubbing it when they realized it was basically a borderline hentai. It was put on actual television in Japan for like 2 episodes until somebody actually sat down and watched it and was like, huh, that's not what I thought that was. None of you read the synopsis of the show.
You know what? No. Don't read the synopsis. I want this to happen again. I want this to happen again and happen longer. Just nobody pay attention.
To be fair, it did technically happen longer because when it came to Crunchyroll, I think they went like 3 or 4 episodes before somebody actually watched it. At least in Japan, I think they only got like 2 episodes deep and were like, shit.
Oh, that's amazing.
Far beyond fan service and straight up into fantasy erotica. Originally aired on Tokyo MX, Sun TV, and KBS Kyoto. However, Tokyo and Sun both removed the show from airwaves the moment it started airing because it was deeply inappropriate for their time slots.
Yeah, it actually got on TV in Japan, and they had to cut it halfway through because they were like, well, shit, we probably should have read the synopsis of this.
Listen, this just goes to show you, and people be like, "Oh, well, this is a deeply complicated." No, people just didn't read, bro. It's literally not that hard.
I mean, it's even in the name. It's interspecies reviewers. What did you think it was going to be about?
It's gonna be clearly just us. It's gonna be like Dungeon Meshi, where it's gonna be like monster hunting, but instead of eating monsters, we're eating monsters.
And thank you, Internet Zen. Says Anthony, a guy who's basically plagiarizing chunks off Wikipedia for this train wreck, is calling out James Somerton for plagiarism. Pot meat kettle. As some people might say, the blackest pot meet the blackest kettle.
Otherwise, to watch the show, you had to either watch it on either a satellite station or an anime-centric cable channel. Thankfully, distribution was picked up by the Gifu Broadcasting System. At the same time slot, Yuri on Ice occupied several years earlier at 2:30 a.m.
Someplace with girls we've never tried before?
By the way, that's the only reason he actually brought this up. Oh, sorry, it was Funimation that was doing the dub.
Could it also just be the fact that like the studios have a specific priority and they want to get away with more stuff? Also, I don't know about you, and people aren't going to like this, but unfortunately, people are going to tolerate the interspecies show when you're banging a bunch of women as a guy than guys banging each other.
Chat is complaining about me saying blackest pot and blackest kettle. So you guys know the full like actual saying is pot calling the kettle black. So there's like an advance of the saying that says the blackest pot is calling the blackest kettle. This actually is a really good example, or Any Species Reviewers is a really good example of why I hate Crunchyroll and Funimation, because they will buy up licenses to anime, and if they decide to do nothing with it, in English, they basically just sit in purgatory for eternity. Because a lot of these licenses don't have expiration dates, and they don't have usage requirements, because that's just, Japan's kind of in the past on that for some reason.
Yep.
So
there's
it
also
just,
the fact that, oh, sorry. No, you go.
No, it permanently puts them in purgatory. There are so many anime that Crunchy and Funny own that will never see the light of day in English because they don't give a shit about them, and they're just permanently in purgatory.
Yep, same thing happened with guys, you're probably wondering, where did all the ADV dubs go? You already know where they went to. They went to Funimation before they merged.
Yeah. It's so dumb.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you.
Interspecies Reviewers and Yuri on Ice. Same time slot. There's no reason they couldn't have shown them have more of a relationship. I don't know what to tell you, but still. Now, this explains why some shows do have to change between adaptations, because if you want a certain time slot, you gotta do that. And even if you have a late night time slot, there's still some things you can't show on TV. What could be aired there is different what could be aired anywhere else. Standards are kind of weird though, of course, as you do. It's also important to note that not all changes between anime and manga.
So I have to point out what he's defining as self-censorship. That's still censorship. It's why we call it self-censorship. It's series that censor themselves in order to try and get into specific venues to be seen. But it's literally still censorship, and it's still bad. And it's still, the reason they do that is because of the government. Like, that's something that he's not going to make the connection with, because he's like, oh, well, it's bad when the government does it, but, these people are self-censoring themselves. Why are they self-censoring themselves? Because the government told them that if they want to be in this space, they have to self-censor themselves.
There's sometimes even when the government won't interfere and they just want to sell more tickets to younger people. I think a good example was recently with there was a Miku concert, and they got there's this one English band called Flavor Flowy. There's a song they made called Raw Dog. It is the most sexual lens song in the English sphere. And they had to completely change the tone from being about gay sex to being about eating hot dogs the entire time. It is hilarious. Like, they'll just do it.
Yeah.
And it'll be arbitrary too, because that song got censored, but a different one about just straight up lesbian sex just didn't get censored because it was more cryptic than that. It's just arbitrary, and that's why people don't like it. Just because it's your thing doesn't mean that it doesn't meet, just because it's my thing that gets censored and it doesn't affect you does not still make it a problem, because get this, once my thing gets censored, your thing is going to get censored next, because people are stupid.
I'd also say it's not necessarily that it's super explicit, but Sweet Devil has basically never been excluded from a concert. And
unfortunately,
it is pretty saucy. I don't think I've ever heard Lavatory in a concert, though, but I would like to.
I'm not sure, but I've noticed there's just some songs that sometimes they'll allow other specific, more explicit Vocaloid producers, and then they'll keep the more darker ones out, because it's that's too much for us. There was one producer I followed called Kikuo. Straight up, all of his songs are traumatizing. Took him years to get into an official concert, and it's literally just a regular song. One of his only metal type songs about hating the world.
Looking it up, apparently Lavatory is actually kind of popular in concerts. Which, for people who have not heard Lavatory, it's specifically Ren and Gumi singing about getting railed in a club bathroom.
It's vague enough.
It's really not.
It's vague enough.
It's not even close.
That's the joke, Mizu. It's not, but it's vague enough. Also, someone mentioned Party Junkie. That's a good one. That one's a good one. That one's famous famous in my books, because that one was able to get the artist of Blood Lad to do the cover art for it.
And thank you, Toa says, well, there's also a reason why the censor steam became known as sales steam. I don't know what you mean by that. You had to explain that one to me.
Are a bad thing, or administered by restriction. Sometimes it's a creative choice. Cardcaptor Sakura, a show aimed at young teens. Famously, the Cardcaptor Sakura anime altered a love story from the original manga between the characters Rika and Tarada. Now, who are Rika and Tarada? Well, Rika is a...
So, I never watched Cardcaptor Sakura, but didn't you say this was just the American version that did this?
So the American version censored out the gay romance between Sakura's brother and him. Both versions of the anime have censored out that this is just straight up a love. So for those who aren't familiar with Clamp, Clamp more so deals with the concept of pure love no matter what. So obviously you have stuff like gay romance between like lesbians and gay people. The problem is that this one is literally a romance between a grown 30-year-old adult and a literal like elementary school girl. And it's like, I understand what you mean, Clamp. Let's roll it back a little bit.
Let's not do that.
A 12-year-old girl, and Tarada is her teacher. Her adult, late 20s teacher. You see why they changed this? And it's not just it wasn't like the dub, it was, the dub also changed it too, but it was at a fundamental level, it got altered at the animation studio. You see why they changed this?
See, I understand what you mean. However, I would still prefer if they didn't. I am one of those people that's like, either faithfully adapt it or don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because if your first thing is, well, we're gonna have to change a lot in order for us to want to do this, okay, then just don't do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Toa. It says the censor steam would be removed in the DVD BR disc, hence sales steam. Fair.
Oh, I think you're talking about when like in the anime versions they'll like have the steam clouds over like the nipples and stuff.
Yeah. See, you can't just say Steam because I immediately think of the game platform. I forget that Steam is the actual thing.
It's kind of a big deal. Now, the anime has implications that Rika has a crush on her teacher. You know, a little one-sided thing. That's okay. But in the manga, it's not a one-sided thing at all. It's a mutual romance. They get engaged and everything, and it's framed as a good thing. Jesus Christ, this manga. But it's not just big things like that. But even...
Don't worry, we're about to talk about the Bochi the Rock thing.
He's gonna talk about the butt, isn't he?
Smaller fan service gags get changed sometimes, and it's just a natural part of the medium. It's always been that way. I'm going to cite an example that YouTuber Mimi Yori does in...
So, I have to say this, because like, well, it's always been that way. That doesn't mean it's good. Like, it's such a dumb argument.
I don't hate Mimi Yori, but like, I don't know, her videos always rub me the wrong way.
That going to be somebody we're going to have to watch at some point?
Most likely.
Thank you, Internet Zen. Vocaloid, we have weird sounding songs that make you do a double take. The band Sublime. Allow us to introduce ourselves. If you know, you know. Isn't this supposed to be about fan service? I said on Twitter that this was going to be the most unfocused, self-contradictory video you'd ever seen.
Their video about Bochi the Rock. I'm going to reference that same video later again. As a scene in the anime K-On! Where it's in the...
Notice, we were just talking about Bochi the Rock, and then he immediately goes, so there's a scene in the anime K-On! You know what you could have done? You could have talked about the scene in the anime K-On! And then moved on to Bochi the Rock, instead of saying, we're going to talk about Bochi the Rock. So anyways, K-On! And I would be, again, we've talked about this before, I would be a bit more lenient on this if this was a live stream. But this is a scripted video he made. He had time to read it.
Yeah. There were also cuts where he could have just redone it.
Yeah.
Manga and the anime both. Mio, it's a school festival, she trips over the wire of her electric guitar and flashes the entire school body. Yeah, in the manga, they show she falls over and they reveal, you know, her underwear. However, in the anime, they cut to a striped bowl of rice, and that's meant to visualize, oh hey, it's the same pattern as her underwear, and it's meant to show what happened without showing you explicitly what happened. This has been a big part of anime. They do this kind of stuff all the time, visual gags, to communicate more than they probably can show. Hell, one go for...
And it's dumb.
That's not the same. Number one, that's not censorship. That is an artistic choice, and it still gets the point across. If they just flat out censored the whole thing in general and just removed the scene entirely, that is a completely different thing.
Not argue
That's
it's still
an artistic
censorship.
thing. It's censorship, but like it's more like the actual like this is the same scene. This is how we interpret it artistically. instead of just flat out being like, yeah, no, we just took it out. We just took out the entire panties gag. Goodbye.
Yeah, I still think it qualifies as censorship.
Okay.
Further back than that, remember Dream Hunter Rem, that explicit OVA?
Also, we're now on to another OVA, and remember, we're supposed to be talking about Bocchi the Rock. He literally said, we're going to talk about Bocchi the Rock. So there's this scene in K-On! So there's this scene in Dream Hunter Rem. Why'd you even bring up Bocchi the Rock if we're not going to be there yet?
I'd mentioned.
Let's talk more.
Yeah.
No, you continue.
The 80s one? Well, that got re-edited in a censored format when the character became popular with kids. And so, kids want to see the show. You can't, though, because the first episode's erotica. So what do? Well, you change it. Yeah, so changes just happen in Japan. And they've happened...
That's not the same.
And it's how he says it. He's like, well, changes just happen. No, they don't just happen. They did that because they saw it was popular with this other community, and they're like, we could probably make more money if we pander to them.
Not only that, but you can still buy the original. That's the point. This stuff is still available. It's still there. It'd be like if they went in and if they just canceled Dream Hunter Red in its entirely. Well, it's erotica. We got to burn the files. That's not the same.
Thank you, Dustblight. It says, wasn't the Bocchi the Rock production taken over by a feminist? That's why things got centered? It was. For people who don't know, the person that was doing a lot of the production on Bocchi the Rock is like a ridiculous, like, staunch radical feminist. Who, if you look at the way she talks about Bocchi the Rock, you would think she hates it. Like, as a... She thinks, it sounds like she hates it conceptually. I don't know if you've ever seen this. She is an absolute crazy woman.
I have not.
For years, but because it was less discussed, you just didn't hear about it. It was all the time, but no one really knew about it because it wasn't widely discussed. But with social media and everything being easily shareable online, people started noticing the changes more and more and more that were always going on. And so if, let's say, an anime adaptation made an alpha from the manga less skimpy, maybe a scene where someone is naked is maybe with a bathing suit or, bra instead of nothing, it'd be a big deal.
We are not putting them in Kenkis. We are not trying to use the Kenki specials as an example.
Also, he's like, you didn't see people talking about this. You do in Japan. That's the thing. Like, the people in Japan did talk about this when it was happening. You know who didn't talk about this? Westerners. You know why Westerners didn't talk about it? Because we didn't have, all the technology to see it.
Or, the language.
Yeah. But he acts like nobody else talked about this. It's like, yeah, the people in the native country did talk about it. They did complain about it. You can find forum threads where they complain about it. You can find to this day where people in Japan still complain about some of these changes. Like, I don't know why you think that nobody cared. People cared. People have always cared. You just couldn't read it.
Was the case with Bocchi the Rock, an anime adaptation made by Cloverworks that takes a 4-panel gag manga and makes it into a pretty good full-fledged comedy. It became a big hit among anime fans and Japanese audiences, but among the changes that a subset of people online got really upset about were all the removed cases of fan service. For example, Bocchi's chest is smaller in the anime, and that's reason enough for nerds online to complain about it for months. There are entire channels devoted to complaining about Bocchi the Rock, an already liked anime, changing the size of the main character's chest. Some people have too much free time to worry about this kind of crap, don't they?
You are not saying that when you made this video 52 minutes long.
Mm-hmm. You don't understand, Kendra. When he complains about something, it's valid. When you complain about something, it's cringe. Also, thank you, Noir. I had never heard of this imbecile until he started gloating that the EFAP covered his crappy video about movie critics. Fair.
they? And mind you, this wasn't television standards making this the case. This is a choice by the creative crew of the anime that was then signed off on essentially by the manga creator. This was explicitly discussed by the show's writer, Erika Yoshida, who analyzed how she felt the overt sexualization was kind of a distraction from what made the show so good, that being the comedy. It wasn't
the over-sexualization, and it's literally boobs.
Yes. So he says this is something that he's trying to like really dance around it really hard. Erika Yoshida is like a staunch feminist who thinks most anime should be like removed completely. Like she hates anime on a conceptual level and believes it inherently dehumanizes women. So why she has a job is ridiculous to me. And then people brought up that, well, the writer signed off on it. All the writer has saying it is like there's a tweet that she's like, yes, I do believe it is okay. And it's like the most like non-committal approval of it I have seen in my life.
Needed, and so they altered it, removed it, or reduced how prevalent it was in the narrative.
More recently, an interview with Erika Yoshida was posted to Kaiyo, a Japanese pop culture website, where she talks about her experience working on Bocchi the Rock, and in it revealed that she and the team purposely cut some scenes sexualizing Bocchi and the other girls from the manga, as she viewed those scenes as just noise. This justification pissed off some people online.
Yes, you have a woman who is doing the adaptation for a series people loves, who specifically says, yeah, these entire chapters of the series, I think they're just noise and they need to go.
I'm telling you right now, this is the whole thing with the I want my lesbians to be frolicking in fields and holding hands and falling in flowers. They never think about sex. They never think about women. They're only pure beings that are pure and need to be protected at all costs.
Mm-hmm. Also, yes, chat, you can't unrape the deer.
They began accusing Yoshida of censoring the original work and tarnishing it by forcing it to fit her views.
Which she did. She literally admitted that's what she did.
Like, my thing is, like, yeah, everything else looks good, but, like, it's just, like, you couldn't even, like, put it in, like, an OVA to, like, have everybody, like, have it out of, like, the quote-unquote, the main plot, just to still cater to the fans. You just removed it because it's like, well, I like this series, but I kind of think everything about it is cringe, so I'm about to remove all the cringe parts and only leave the cool parts in aura.
Yeah.
A certain set of fans got really mad, but ignored how, again, the manga's creator was involved in the process, as is typically the case with Japanese anime, and that she had enthusiasm for the adaptation, changes and all. She liked it. So the
No, she did not. She made a tweet where she's like, yeah, they changed it. They do. She did like the normal Japanese thing, which I think you know what I'm talking about, where she's like, yes, it was changed, but they do good work. And, you know, I have deep respect for Miss Yoshida-san, that kind of bullshit. And it's like, also, this is what Japanese people say when they're like, I have to say this. It is not like I enthusiastically am glad that she said my work was useless noise and needed to be, like, removed.
Not only that, but you also have to know involvement with the production varies between creator and creator.
And it depends how big you are.
Exactly.
Like, you have someone like Oda, who Oda's big enough that when he says, this is how this is happening, well, that's going to happen. And even he got fucked over, right? We actually learned this with some of the Netflix stuff. They, like, pushed back on him so hard with that he eventually threw his hands up and just walked away.
Some of it, yes. Some of it, no. Because, like, what is it? A good example is also, like, Toei. He's like, hey, Toei, can you, like, adapt the Sanji stuff? Because I think Sanji's a cool character. And they're like, no. And then you get tons of scenes in the anime that make Sanji as this, like, creepy weirdo that just didn't happen in the manga for, like, no other reason than, well, Sanji's a pervert, so we need to up the pervert gag. But we're just gonna give Zoro just the Dragon Ball level fights for no reason.
Yeah. Like, they act like, oh, all these guys are involved in the work. Some of them that have been more outspoken on Twitter, and like Kendra mentioned earlier, a lot of times what'll happen is they'll freak out and they'll say how they really feel, and then their entire online presence just vanishes.
They'll come back, but for the most part, some of them don't. A good example? We have the stuff, obviously the Gotchi Akuda author, which that's not censorship, that's fandom discourse. But we had the stuff that happened recently with the Go For and Nakamura-kun, where everyone kept criticizing the one of the characters in the manga. So to avoid it, the author was like, you know what? We're removing that entire implication from the anime. And then she still got harassed for it and then deleted her Twitter soon after because she couldn't please anyone.
Yeah. But you'll have people like, Anthony, that's like, well, they're involved in it. That doesn't mean anything. A lot of times involved in it means that they get to show up and they'll ask them their opinion. And then when they say something they don't like, they're like, yeah, we'll get offset. It's not your thing anyways. I think the only time I've seen a Japanese person put his foot down and anybody give a shit was, God, why am I fucking blanking on his name right now? Hideo Kojima. Hideo Kojima is like one of the only Japanese creators I have seen put his foot down and people actually listen to him.
That's because when he put his foot down and they didn't listen to him, he left, including with all the money they could have made.
Miyazaki doesn't count because he is the boss, for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, like, people that are under a company. Any creator that is under a company, basically, at the end of the day, they're like, we don't really give a shit what you think, but we'll ask your opinion anyways, so you can feel included. Thank you, Internet Zim. It says, Erika Yoshida, let me guess, she's someone's wife, and that's how she got in. Anthony doesn't understand Japan's workplace culture. There's a reason the loud American is a thing in Japan to confront this kind of BS.
No, I have to actually correct that because even though you are critical of the name Erika, Erika is actually a really popular name in Japan. And I have actually Googled her. She is Japanese. That's just, unfortunately, that's just how it be.
Yeah.
It's unfortunately, Erika doesn't have the unfortunate white woman implications that it does in the West.
But yeah, she is, like, you could tell in her interview, she is like a really staunch feminist and she's super annoying.
Yeah.
I have also looked up a picture of her. I definitely think she's a Hathy.
Okay.
And then thank you, Linda Underling, says, Ant likes to pretend he's not an auntie. He always ebbs and flows just to be just behind the crazy aunties. I can agree with that.
Peter liked it. Bocchi isn't about fan service or nudity. They're just there in certain scenes in the manga, so you can get rid of them and nothing really changes. This isn't a case like a show that's heavy fan service, and that's the main appeal getting removed. No, there was a lot going on here. There's extra, and if you got rid of it, the show's still good. Now, there are some shows out there that if you got rid of the fan service, you lose the core appeal of the show.
Today's the day it shall be mine! Give me your love nectar! Somebody help me!
I hate these dubs so much. Like,
I've always said this. I don't mind. Actually, no, I can't even say I don't mind the Shimaneta dub. I actually think the Japanese sub is like way better, and that's only because I think Anne's VA is like the best. Rest in peace for her.
Yeah. I think my problem is whenever I watch an English dub, I can immediately tell you that the female lead for every character is one of two women.
You know, it really doesn't help that a lot of them are clicks too. So it's like, hey, can you like bring in that one voice actress who's like really good and suits this specific archetype of character? Well,
and then they send you a letter back and say, actually, we're going to use Monica Rial.
It's like the worst because like I've actually heard good Monica Rial roles. This is like one of her like worst roles. The biggest one being like the Yona of the Dawn dub, which I could do a whole anime audit on why I hate the Yona of the Dawn dub.
Like, okay,
so many people were
we need to find voice actresses for 5 women in this anime. Let's throw at the dartboard. Monica Rial, Jamie Marchi, Oh, another Monica Rial. Look at that. Oh, Monica Rial will also do the 4th girl, and the 5th girl will be Jamie Marchi. And it's like, we've got like 20 women on staff. It's like, yeah, but Monica Rial and Jamie Marchi are already here.
Oh, the worst part with the Jamie Marchi is the fact that you'll notice that she's not in a lot of dubs early on. The reason why you'll see her in like specific, especially iconic dubs, is because she's the head writer of those ones.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, she was one of the head writers of the Dragon Maid dub too. So there's a reason why she's Luluko, even though it makes no sense for her to be this specific character.
Yep.
This begs the question, why not make a better story? But there's stuff like Interspecies Reviewers where the content that is shocking is the appeal. It's style as such.
See, I don't know what he's talking about. It's like, the content that's shocking. What do you mean shocking? It's a borderline hentai. It's not shocking.
It's a literal. The content is shocking. It's a literal sex.
The word you're looking for is titillating. I don't know why you think shocking. Like, God, people watched this borderline hentai and they got boobs. Yeah, that's kind of what they were here for.
Substance as opposed to style over substance. But I think the major problem here is that channel.
Also, yes, he's gonna bitch about chibi reviews.
Oh no! Listen, I have my issues with modern chibi reviews too. But like, you're not the guy to talk about them.
Also, chat, that lady way over there is Erika Yoshida. Tell me she's not a hafu. I feel like she is.
Yeah.
I could see the European in there.
Yeah.
Like, say, Chibi Reviews, who create short content on responding to every case of censorship and controversy in the anime field, they kept talking about this topic because it was an easy topic to make videos about. Every day there'd be a new, oh, look at this panel, and it's different from this shot in the anime, and you have them side by side, you see the differences. Like, yeah, okay, that's a change, not a big deal. They used to be resigned to trivia websites, about like Yandere Dev's old website comparing Vazefon to Evangelion, nothing important like that, but now becomes a full channel content slot. But the thing it's so
see,
we're not comparing Yandere Dev because I actually was there. You don't get to make fun of him.
Also, you kind of look like him. Like, I don't think you're. It's kind of friendly fire. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that. That said, He says this as if making like short 5-minute YouTube videos every day is any different than making like short little blog articles. Like, no, YouTube is just kind of the modern blog, dude. Like, it used to be something that was like on a little blog site, and now it's like on YouTube. Yeah, people move to YouTube. Like, again, this video is only about a year old. This isn't like 15 years ago when there was only like a handful of YouTubers doing shit. Everybody films themselves for YouTube now.
Oh my god. He's chibi with glasses.
Also, there's a Twitter account that'll post like differences from anime to manga, and they'll complain about it. And sometimes when I see them, I think they're going a little far, and I'm like, I don't think it's that big of a change. But you have to point out, like, they literally did turn Bocchi into like a flat. Like, there's a reason there's a lot of doujin about Bocchi being a femboy. They literally made Bocchi completely flat. Literally flat as a board. When the actual anime, she's probably got like, I don't know, B's, C's. And it's so obvious and blatant. And it's such like a stark
liberties. Sorry.
It's just like such a stark change. It like really catches your attention when it's like, fuck, what?
Like, there's taking artistic liberties, and then there's doing crap like this, being like, oh, well, I think of the fan service is noise, and it's like, the fan service being noise, and it's literally just a girl. You can't even, like, literally, they're like, why don't we see the female gaze on TV? It's because other women are like, you know what? Screw your female gaze. Let me put on my yaoi real quick.
What do you mean women have boobs? Boobs are boobs are sexist.
Not Bochi the wall.
Bochi the cutting board. Thank you, Noir. We should take over all his favorite franchises and constantly censor all of his favorite parts because it doesn't fit our standards, and see how quickly he changes his tune.
Again, he literally went on a whole rant, like a little tiny rant, being like, why can Yuri on Ice show the relationship? Which, by the way, if you actually watched Yuri on Ice, they did. They just didn't show the kiss. That's all they didn't show. They had wedding rings and everything.
Yeah.
But you see, boobs are different.
Odd is that, again, what he's doing is he conflates Bochi the Rock changing the main character's boob size with actual real censorship. And what
It is.
It is.
It was literally done by a feminist that specifically said she censored it because it didn't fit with her political views. That is, by definition, censorship.
Chat, you're all, I love all these names they come in with. Bochi the floor, Bochi the desk.
I really love that he read an article from the lady that said, literally word for word, I censored this because it doesn't fit with my political and moral beliefs. And he goes, people think this is censorship. Yes, she verbally said it was.
And remember, it's always, everything is political unless you're talking about that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Like, do you guys hear yourself? Would you see this? And it's not even like sensical censorship either. Like some of the stuff, it's like, yeah, Bochi's sitting in her bedroom, just straight up in her lacy lingerie. I can maybe see somebody making an argument for that. They deleted her boobs. Not even like they deleted her cleavage. Like you could even maybe have a stronger argument for cleavage. They just literally deleted the fact that she had boobs like regular women do. That's such a bizarre change.
Not Bobby the Gronk.
And then thank you, Internet Zen. I'm just saying, James jawed some VA work for the dub scene again. Woman actually has range compared to the horror Monica Rial. I literally just found out James voiced both Kagome and Kagura in the Inuyasha dub.
No, you're not wrong about that. There's a reason. Listen, apparently she had too much range because they kicked that girl out as soon as they went into final act.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I will never get over that dub change. That's like the worst change.
They really don't like people that raise the bar for quality.
it ends up doing is it takes your eye off the ball. It says this minor case of one show changing something with the consent of all parties involved is just the same as the government coming in to tell you you can and can't watch. And that's where I come in, because
what you are seeing is you are seeing the downhill slide of exactly what he's complaining about. Because who is demanding this kind of censorship? The exact same people that are already forcing small levels of censorship. It's what do they call it? I think they say that people lack second order thinking, where they can see that A happens and they can see that B happens, but they lack the ability to connect A and B. Like they physically cannot see the pathway between A and B, even if they are literally right on top of each other.
Yep. Unfortunately for people like this, they always complain. Again, we're talking about Yuri on Ice. Yuri on Ice censored the kiss. And it's like, well, why did they censor the kiss? They should have been able to show the kiss. Well, you know, Bochi the Rock isn't fan service, but they censor the boobs. What does it matter if they censor the kiss? They censor the boobs, so it's okay. Both are okay to censor. But no, they're both bad to censor, and you may not like it. Go watch something else. So that's why we fight to keep all censorship, because if we don't get rid of the one, both of them are gonna go. That's how it always will go. Just like that one Yuri anime that came out a while ago, where, get this, they removed all of the Yuri in this Yuri anime.
Also, yes, chat, I have seen the allegations that the voice actor for Pearl from Steven Universe is MAGA. I don't know if Kendra saw that.
I saw that. It was hilarious.
Yeah, somebody found her Instagram and found out on Instagram she's following a bunch of Republican politicians and Charlie Kirk. So people are very upset with her right now.
I just want to know how number one, I find it funny not because she's following politicians. I just want to know how long it took people to find that. Like, you've been stalking these voice actors' Twitters for who knows how many years, and it was literally 2026 when Stephen Hughes came out in the 2010s. It took you that long to find it?
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, they didn't find out that Scott Cawthon donated to Trump until after his first term was already done.
You know what? This is beautiful. I love the internet. Everybody's so slow until it's necessary.
I don't think that first thing matters all that much. Creative choices are creative choices. There's a reason they do things. Complain about TV, practice, and standards, you have a big deal about it. But the government coming into your home to tell you what you can and can't watch, that's where I start to get worried.
So here's the fun part. That I have to point this out because it's one of my complaints with people like Ant, who are just an idiot and don't understand anything. If the government censors anime, by your own definition, they aren't actually coming in your house and telling you you can and can't watch it. They're just saying it can and can't be on TV. Which, according to you, that's perfectly fine. You've already made the argument for this. It is perfectly acceptable to have restrictions on what can and can't be viewed on TV. So when the government bans these certain depictions of anime, they're only banning it on TV. They're not banning your purchase of it. Now, purchasing it and owning it is going to be a lot harder when it's banned, but by your own definition, it doesn't qualify as censorship because you have already said this is the appropriate way to censor stuff. And you don't even, that's why it's so dumb when you don't complain about the Bocchi the Rock stuff. And when you call out people who do complain about it, because you agree with the censorship. You agree with the exact kind of censorship you're complaining about. You just don't realize it's the exact same thing.
These people.
Well as when private companies bully other companies into conforming to their standards of practice.
Notice how quickly we slid down that pole, by the way. We immediately went for, it's only a problem when the government does it. It's also a problem when private companies do it. But you just made an argument for why it's okay that Bocchi the Rock got censored. Because it was just a small private company doing it, not the government.
Mm-hmm.
He genuinely doesn't understand what he's arguing for. He's just kind of throwing stuff out left and right and hoping some of it makes sense, and it doesn't.
Listen, all I'm saying is, guys, which way, Western man? The radical feminist Yoshida, or who did Bocchi the Rock, or that one guy who talks about vaginas with Gundam? You only have two options.
No, you have a third option. You have you have the dude that vandalized the entire Silent Hill wiki to say that all the games were about circumcision and stealing your penis skin. That's your third option. You're cutting out.
When did this happen?
Do you not know about the Silent Hill circumcision wiki?
I vaguely remember hearing about that. Wait.
I'm gonna have to take you down this pathway one day.
It's anime related. We can do that for an anime audit.
but the long and short of it is the guy that ran one of the biggest, most comprehensive Silent Hill wikis. I forget which game it was, but he basically at the bottom of the page for the game's synopsis said that that every monster in the game was symbolic of the main character's trauma over being circumcised as a baby.
Oh my god.
And then after people started calling him out, he started just changing theories on other Silent Hill wikis to be about circumcision as well. And he started freaking out and it's more circumcision, everything's circumcision, all Silent Hill is circumcision. It's
it's odd thing to do. So Why suddenly? Ew.
I don't know. It was awful. It was so funny, but it was so awful. The guy had issues somewhere. I don't know where his issues came from, but he had issues.
Not Demio saying, "What is this SCP wiki?"
Oh
my god!
Also, thank you for the dog raid. I appreciate it.
Oh, hello, Tim. Hi. Hello,
For profit, I guess. They are actual problems facing fan service heavy material.
I'm gonna read this just because. So Zoogswain over on Twitch says, speaking of that, this is off topic, but have you heard of the card game Tribal Order? I bring this question up when hearing about circumcision because there's a card in the game called Foreskin Stealer. And we're gonna leave that where it is.
As well as any material that has anything erotic, even mildly, in it.
I just passed my new law decreeing that all geeky dweebs be thrown in prison.
Corporations and governments are pushing back against all of these. Noticeably, payment processors like Visa and MasterCard have, over the last several months, began pushing back on distributions for anything containing erotic material.
I think the idea of these big companies, these credit card companies, these processing companies, really kind of dictating what people do, essentially creating their own laws, is a thing for massive concern.
Now, this is well known, this part. During December 2025, the Australian organization known as Collective Shout pressed Visa and MasterCard to deny service to itch.io and Steam for their collection of erotic games. Both platforms began to bend to pressure from Visa and MasterCard, removing or delisting games from their site that didn't meet a specific set of standards and criteria. This included several visual novels from Japan, as well as games with LGBTQIA themes and furry games. Odd how often those later two get conflated with, like, erotica? You know, they're not really. I digress again.
Because
a lot
censorship doesn't stop.
Not only that, but the reason why they hit these games with quote-unquote erotic themes is because a lot of these games were originally erotica.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. That would take a mild bit of research to know that.
I also like how he goes, it's so odd how like furry and LGBT games typically get roped in with erotica. They 99% of the time they just are. I don't know why everybody pretends that they aren't. But everybody's like, oh, what about this LGBT game? Yeah, it literally ends with the two guys fucking each other for like 2 hours worth of cutscenes. I don't know why you're pretending it's not erotic.
My thing is, like, you could at least make an argument that there's like some like LGBT games that aren't erotica. You will never be able to convince me that there is a furry game that doesn't have at least even a hint of it. Like, come on. Why are we even trying to like bypass that? Trying to throw that in there.
There's one I play called Wild Assault that's literally just Battlefield, but all the characters are furries. Thank you, Zim. Collective Shout is a left wing, not right wing. He's going to call them right wing now. I just know it. We are about to go on his rant about how right wingers are ruining fan service.
But it's weird. I don't know.
What?
But the point is, a lot.
Yeah, he's about to go on like a rant about how right wingers are ruining fan service, even though Collective Shout is literally a radical feminist organization. And Erika Yoshida is literally a radical feminist herself.
Okay.
I'm not going to pretend to understand what persuasion Visa and MasterCard are. However, I believe Visa and MasterCard are just looking for the path of least resistance because they have been known for years to debank anything they deem controversial, which is a pretty wide swath of stuff, not just erotica.
Stuff that was possibly scandalous got taken off the shelves, the digital shelves, so to speak. However,
I like how we've got fucking School Days in the background, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not a new development from Visa or MasterCard, because they did that last year too. They denied complete service and payment to Japanese websites that were selling explicit material in order to protect their brand. That being Visa and MasterCard's brand. They wouldn't associate with anything dirty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just on that point about Visa and MasterCard being successful businesses, I think you figured it out, haven't you?
And customers matter to our business?
Maybe is it because that Visa and MasterCard are effectively monopolies? They control 80% of the market. This is classic monopolistic behavior, and yet your testimony here today is you don't want any competition.
And this was confirmed by Seton Kitney, the president of Visa Worldwide Japan. Many Japanese websites don't allow payment processors from Visa or MasterCard anymore at all, opting instead for direct payment from your bank. This includes Nico Nico, Melon Books, Torano Anna, DLS Site, Fontia, Manga Library Z, and Fanzia, among.
I'd also point out that if you actually use any of these sites, you would know that what they actually do is they don't let you buy from the site anymore. Now they let you buy tokens, and then you can use the tokens on the site, which apparently gets around the Visa MasterCard thing, because you aren't buying any specific material, you are buying a fictional token. Which, honestly, I'm kind of glad that a lot of them started doing that, because some of them were talking about basically removing the ability from Western people to buy from it at all. Which I always thought was kind of sucked. Like, I got their complaints with Visa MasterCard, but the way they were saying it was like, oh, well, these Westerners purchasing from us are a problem. And it's like, no, that we're literally the ones buying it from you. Don't blame us. We're trying to pay you.
Listen, it sucks for people like me who want all the exclusive stuff that now I have to go online and go to Macari JP because Macari America sucks. And I gotta buy and wait for that.
Yeah. Thank you, Frog Jupiter. Speaking of circumcision, did you know that South Korea has an entire baby foreskin cream industry? We are not getting into that.
We're never going to leave the Circumcision Chronicles from here on out.
Thank you, Toa. Never forget the payment processors only started doing it because of the government. See Operation Choke Point. Yeah, the government is related to it.
Many others have made it so you can't pay with Visa anymore because Visa keeps bullying them in what they can sell. Companies are preventing you from buying this for yourself, and it's just getting worse because what they are preventing you from buying.
Oh, also, chat, because some people are mentioning not being able to buy from Japan. One thing you can do a lot of places is there's actually a good bit of Japanese places that will still take PayPal. Because PayPal is technically a middleman. You aren't buying with your card from their site. You're buying money on PayPal, and then PayPal is buying from their site. Not all of them have done that, but some of them have started to allow PayPal again for that reason. And then thank you, Internet Zen. I can confirm everything Mizu is saying is true regarding the token thing. I was very annoyed by that. Also, chat, this is a Mizu stream, not a cursed stream. Stop tormenting us with cursed knowledge.
It's unclear what constitutes as inappropriate to them. It could be something mild. The language is so vague, you can't even determine it.
Because Visa is indeed very much restrictive, and what they're saying is that they're not putting in filter terms, but they are saying they're looking at the type of content.
And to make matters more...
As a by the way, he wouldn't have known this at the time, but 4 or 5 months after this, we actually did get a stronger definition of what Visa and MasterCard consider problematic. And the problem isn't that it's vague. The problem is that it's actually so strict and so specific that it covers everything. Everything is already in violation. That way they can use anything they feel like as an excuse to fuck with you. I forget what website did it, but there was a website that actually posted the specific letter they got from Visa MasterCard outlining what all they got in trouble for. Along with their announcement that they weren't going to obey it, and if Visa and MasterCard cut them off, they were going to go towards crypto.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
frustrating, government bodies have begun censoring anime as well and instilling legal punishments for explicit material. And it's not just a...
That was basically just Australia and the UK, by the way. Which already somewhat had like rules against it.
America either. You've probably seen it in...
This is not just America. It's not America at all. It's Australia and the UK.
Is he even American?
I don't know. I assumed he was Canadian.
Yeah, same.
But I've never checked. I don't really care enough.
Yeah. Same.
Over time of someone being a very explicit manga and arrested for it, or being stopped at the airports for it. And that happens. People have had to explain purchasing Metamorphosis in Canada, for example. And that's explicit, that's extreme, but it's also not illegal. It's a very dark manga, but it's not illegal to own it.
See, that's why I believe he's Canadian. Based on Canadian law, I would think it's not illegal. However, I have been told by lawyers that the way they actually do it in Canada, or the actual way they read their law, is that yes, it would be illegal in Canada.
Not only that, but I saw him put that library thing up there. That was a specific case of someone putting Kobayashi's Dragon Maid in an elementary school library when it really should not have been there. That is a completely different topic. That is not censorship. That is literally parents actually doing their job.
Yeah. So he really has no idea what he's talking about with any of this. First off, he's trying to like push the blame off on America, and it's like none of this is illegal in America. In fact, America is one of the few places you can still buy it openly in public with no problem.
Yep.
By any standards of the imagination, and yet because of the shocking content within, it draws attention, you know? But there are cases where they're solidifying laws in place that can make it a crime to even own mainstream manga. A lot of people by this point know about Texas Senate Bill 20, which made it a felony for the promotion of obscene visual material explicitly containing characters who appear underage. The language is vague, and it's vague on purpose, because it contains everything from CSAM to Dragon Ball. So My Hero Academia and Daisy's Destruction.
So people...
We are what? Oh, sorry.
So people have known about this Texas law, which did not go through, by the way, because it violates the Constitution. And this is something like people outside of America don't understand, is we sort of have a two-tier government system for the most part. Like, I know there's multiple tiers to our government system. But for the average person's understanding, you need to know two tiers. You have federal and you have state. There's obviously tiers below that, but it's not important. State cannot pass a law that violates federal. So Texas bill violated federal constitutional protections. So it was basically immediately shot down. Like this bill didn't make it anywhere. It was suggested by like two people. And the same day it was suggested, people are like, yeah, this shit can't go through. This violates federal law. For people who don't know about Daisy's Destruction, do not Google it. It is...
Do not...
It ruins your mentals.
Yeah, let's just say that it, like, people always joke, ha ha ha, the FBI will, like, get on my list. No, if you genuinely Google that, you will actually end up on a most wanted list. It is that terrible. Do not look up what it is. It's genuine. It's Epstein level. That's how bad it is. And it's a meme, but it genuinely is Epstein level.
I'll be honest, I've never heard anyone use it as a meme until this guy did. No community I've ever been in has ever used it as a meme.
Oh, I mostly mean, like, I know, like, the name Epstein now is like, haha, funny meme man, but, like, genuinely it's Epstein.
Oh, you mean Epstein? No, I meant Daisy's Destruction. I've never heard anybody refer to it as a meme or as a point of comparison. I have no idea why he brought it up.
He's like trying to compare, like, oh, you could get arrested for having stuff like Dragon Ball, like early Dragon Ball, on this in the same vein as owning or knowing about Daisy's Destruction. And I'm like, we are not comparing actual child abuse to Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
Like,
it's dumb.
Are both the same under the language of this law. And you may think people overreacting, well, at least one store already has taken Dragon Ball off their shelves in compliance in advance with this law. Now,
which was something they did for internet clout because this law was never a real thing.
Exactly. And again, it wasn't that they were taking it off the shelves also because they were doing it for to take it off because it was illegal. Again, there were some parents that were like, hey, why is this clearly like adult manga or teenage manga in my third grader's library? We need to take that out and have them properly vetted. That's not the same.
Hopefully, no one's been dragged into court in Texas for their Dragon Ball manga collection. But the future...
Because it was never passed. Like, that's... Ugh.
Future remains unclear. It's possible something may happen down the line, but this law is enforced. And when that happens, it will create a cataclysm. It will impact the entire industry because a lot of anime distributors come from Texas. Texas is a hotbed of anime production historically. A lot of anime gets sold there. It's a lot of anime fans there. Mexico has a lot of anime fans too, and they're on the border of Texas. So you can see a cascading impact internationally, potentially, from this happening.
No, you couldn't. While yes, he is correct, a lot of anime, like, quote unquote, comes from Texas in the West, it's literally just Crunchyroll and Funimation. And
Not
it's
only that,
really not that much.
Not only that, the reason why a lot of studios over there in Texas is because Texas laws are lax.
Yeah. That's literally the only reason.
But you might be thinking, oh, it's just America. In Japan, this won't have any impact. Well, think again, because this push, it's in Japan too. They are anime that are just outright banned in Japan. The greatest example of this is, of course, Shoujo Tsubaki, an infamous independent animated film that, due to its disturbing content, was banned in Japan and most countries around the world. The reason we even have a...
I actually know about this one. Let it be known, Shoujo Tsubaki was not banned. And it was taken away from theaters, and some of the footage has been destroyed, but it has been since unbanned. And they made a live-action adaptation of that sucker a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's modicum of research. Literally everybody made memes about live-action Shoujo Tsubaki. But you apparently weren't there about that. Okay.
Really quick, I guess I'll be corrected. Apparently, Texas Senate Bill 20 ended up passed. But I mean, I've still literally never heard of anybody get arrested for this yet.
I mean, considering they would literally have to arrest all of the Family Guy staff, basically they would have to arrest not only the anime staff, they would have to arrest most animation studios in Texas because, you know, unfortunately somebody in the Senate can't get it past. Oh yeah, that's right. Also, I remember also more of that law. The law was it was vague, but it specifically covered realistic depictions of children, not anime, manga, and all that stuff.
There is a section that looks very vague and like it could refer to anime. However, it's like the Protect Act, right? So for people who don't know what happened with the Protect Act put exactly one person in jail because they pled guilty instead of trying to fight it. The second person that they tried to prosecute with it said, no, I'm going to fight it. And they got the entire law, which was a federal law, completely overturned. Just one guy saying, no, this is unconstitutional. And it wasn't even close. Like, they just absolutely swept the courts on, yeah, you're right, it's unconstitutional. And the Protect Act had to be completely rewritten to fix it. It's going to be the same thing with the Texas Act. The first person they arrest with like a copy of Metamorphosis that says, yeah, no, I'm going to fight this, they're immediately going to overturn the entire law and it's going to get thrown out.
Yep, sounds about right.
Like, it's really not going to be that hard to get it overturned as soon as somebody starts complaining about, like, yeah, no, this should not apply to, like, anime.
To even have a physical copy of it today, and it's not lost media, is thanks to France, of all places, where it became popular in the film festival circuit and was distributed by French companies, specifically under the name Midori. You might have heard of it from TikTok. But more recently, Japan's far-right party, Sansetsu, has taken steps to further emphasize their various points, in July of 2025, Sensetsu devoted a section on their official website detailing that they saw anime, manga, and games as a cultural asset, claiming that the value of these books and shows were not based on how much they made, but rather how it promoted their culture. And that this party sought to use the Agency of Cultural Affairs to ensure all manga and games functioned as a healthy cultural development. What does...
So this is something we mentioned earlier on in the video, remember?
Mm-hmm.
About Japan seeing anime as a cultural export of sorts. So far, by the way, the only thing I have seen really enforced at all as far as healthy cultural export is apparently the current government of Japan for a while has not liked incest in anime. That is seems like the one thing they've really tried to enforce over anime, and a lot of studios are still like flaunting the line because they really don't give a shit.
Also, I'm gonna post this in the side chat. Here's the approval rating of Sansetsu, because I remember seeing a while ago being like, they had a chart showing which political parties are the most popular and the least popular in Japan. Apparently, this group is an ultra-conservative party. What is it? They are an ultra-conservative right-wing populist political party, and they are deeply unpopular.
Yeah, so you see, chat, that one itty bitty bar all the way down there at the bottom. That's what he's concerned about. This one at the very bottom, Sensetsu.
Yeah.
It's like this is the Japanese far right party. It's like, what about all these other ones? You know?
Let me post you another chart, because this is also another chart of how popular they are. Let me grab this.
And then thank you, Internet Zen. Basically, the bill was being misinterpreted as covering anime, and the internet freaked out. Texas politicians might be buffoons sometimes, but they're not targeting anime with this, or / intending to. As someone who reads enough law, the law can be interpreted to relate to anime. I would say that I think it needs to be rewritten. This is Kendra's new thing. I'm guessing they're just under others.
Yeah.
So they're maybe 1 or 2 of the 23 seats, probably. Because there's no telling like how many parties fall under others.
It also doesn't help that if you like, so I obviously watch people who like talk about Japanese culture. Some of them, you'd be surprised how many meme parties there are in Japan. Like,
oh no, I'm not surprised at all. I've seen a couple of them.
The one guy who dressed up as Joker.
Yeah. We have meme parties in America. We just don't have like the same sort of Senate system that other countries use. Or else ours would look something similar to this as well. But yeah, he says it like this is a big party in Japan that is on the forefront of determining their culture, and it's literally like 2 guys in a trench coat.
Like if they had actual like footing, that would be like one thing, but it's like, again, like if you're gonna talk about something like this, talk about something like a party that's actually dangerous and matters, not a YouTube channel that has 47,000 views, which, I mean, that's big, but political party big.
Yeah.
Well, the far-right party aims to control and censor the anime industry, to use it, to manipulate it, to further their cultural objectives. But that party's not in charge right now. Rather, Sine Taki...
He says that party's not in charge right now. It's not that they're not in charge right now. It's that they will never be in charge. Unless the country experiences, like, severe political upheaval, they aren't even... like, again, he says it that way because in America, when you say that's not the party in charge, you think of Democrat and Republican, and you think of going back and forth, right? Democrats won this year, Republicans run that year. So he says it that way to make it sound like the Japanese far-right party's just like one election away from being in power. No, they're not. The only way they're getting in power is if the entire country experiences some severe political upheaval. And at that point, what party's in power is going to be the last of their worries. To be quite frank. That's like nuclear war levels of upheaval. That party is so small.
Yep.
Heihachi is the current Prime Minister of Japan and is part of the Liberal Democratic Party, the same party that Love Hina's creator is a part of, not the Sansetsu Party. However, despite the name, the LDP is a pretty conservative group. It remains to be seen if Takeichi...
Fun fact, democracy is just as much a part of conservatism as it is progressivism.
Not only that,
I don't know why,
but,
despite the name, they're actually pretty conservative. They're just called democratic.
Not only that, but it's like, bro, you do realize that our definition of liberal is not the same definition of their liberal. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, they're conservative, but they're probably still liberal by Japanese standards. That's how that's how definitions work. That's how context clues are able to form.
Yeah.
She does push for censorship of anime, but let's be honest here, sometimes someone so culturally opposed to feminism and LGBTQI rights, as well as actively supporting revising historical records of Japan's history surrounding World War II, they're not exactly the type that stays out of the arts for very long. Eventually they...
What does that even mean?
He thinks if Japan will not openly admit to, God, what's it called? To their war crimes, then that obviously means they're going to censor their own culture.
So here's my thing. I understand them needing to admit their crimes, which I mean, they've already admitted to it like 50 trillion times. Let's talk about China and their involvement with the Uyghur Muslims.
Yes, he's unironically pulling the mud Japanese war crimes.
Let's talk about currently what's going on in South Korea and how they have to bat off every single nth room that forms in a 50-mile radius.
Yeah.
Will push back, or eventually companies will bend the knee to conform to the agenda presented by the Prime Minister to further fit their perspective. But then again, this group has also pushed back against censorship before. There were laws that Japan tried pushing to censor certain types of explicit material in Japan, and the LDP is heavily responsible for voting against said measures, including laws that would have made CSAM a bigger deal in Japan. As many remember, the creator of Rurouni Kenshin got a slap on the wrist for his collection of that.
So, I have to say this every time this comes up because people don't understand it. I'm not saying he shouldn't have gotten a bigger slap than he should have. I think he probably should have. However, the reason he didn't get as big of a slap as he probably should have is because he owned material that at one point was legal. And this is a growing pain that every country has when they make something new illegal, is they have to deal with the bits and pieces of it that are still floating out there and how to deal with those. Because how are you supposed to tell somebody this thing you owned legally a week ago is now illegal, so you're going to jail for 20 years?
Not only that, but the reason why he got a slap on the wrist compared to most people who didn't get a slap on the wrist is because he is one of the most famous mangaka out there that unfortunately helped develop, basically created not their version of Lord of the Rings, but basically made a cultural milestone manga like every other creator that made a cultural milestone manga. Yeah. Because if you actually look into the history of mangaka that have gotten caught for, get this, sex crimes and anything involving minors, they're still in the industry and then slowly fade out to obscurity because they're now going to one-shot jail because you still need a job, but you're never going to get a big deal. ever again. The only reason why he is still as prominent as he is because he made a manga that basically everybody loves forever, and that's never gonna change. Not same thing happened, but basically it's the reason why nobody will ever get rid of HP Lovecraft stuff, even though everybody collectively agrees, yeah, he was racist because people like his work too much. That's just how it's gonna be. That's how it will always ever be.
Also, yes, Skullface Simeon. That's the thing a lot of people leave out about that situation and why he got a slap on the wrist, is the material he owned was, up until very recently when he got caught with it, was legal. And there are growing pains when you make something illegal that was once legal and a bunch of people still have it. It's very difficult to justify permanently, like throwing them in jail and throwing away the key. When literally 2 years before they would have been perfectly acceptable to have it.
Not only that, but there's also the fact that technically there was already technically illegal. They just had to put it in writing to be like, yeah, you can be persecuted under this. Like, like stuff with like children was already banned. They just tacked that on. They were like, oh, we should probably get that because that's still distributing images of kids. It was already banned, but possession of it wasn't banned. They thought, it was just like a bad thought process when they were writing the law, is they wrote like, production of this kind of stuff is banned. And then like literally 15 years later, they're like, we probably should have written that you can't own it either, because then people are getting around with it by saying, oh, I didn't produce it, I just happened to own it. Yeah. And they're like, maybe we should have included owning it in the law as well. Yep.
It's basically like they made it illegal to produce, but they didn't make distribution or, they made distribution illegal, but they didn't make ownership illegal. So people would just claim they like found it.
That's how what happens when you unfortunately have faith in humanity. Yep. Some people try and skirt around the lines.
Thank you, Internet Zen. He says he wants Japan to be like Germany, suffering generational guilt and zero national pride. Someone should remind Reddit mod incarnate Japan is socially conservative. Feminism and LGBT won't be accepted there for a long while.
Let's talk about Canada and its refusal to give back the Native Americans their bones of their ancestors.
So I don't really trust the LDP to have the best interests in mind for that topic. Let's change gears.
You're not Japanese.
But there's another element to this whole story, another side to this that people are not talking about. Do audiences even want fan service anymore?
I wish I could hear what they were laughing.
Here's where we're gonna get into his worst argument, where it's like, actually, people don't even like fan service.
This is a lie. This is a lie. I was reading
by the very name of it. Fan service. It is quite literally for the fans.
Also, I recognize this anime. This is, I think if I remember correctly and pronouncing his name correctly, Michio Nissan. Very attractive man. Clearly, this scene was made for women in mind.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to want to get rid of this.
So much about.
They were laughing about how bad you are at life.
I mean, yes, I know some of you do, but do audiences in general who consume anime want it? Well, that's trickier. That's more scandalous than, say, maybe there's a reason why certain anime change the clothing of certain characters. Maybe the companies are trying to market to an audience who increasingly doesn't like fan service. Netflix has confirmed that half of its user base has watched anime at some point. The anime market is pivoting to include Western streamers and distributors as a major asset of its market value. And it's not just America or Europe, but China, India, Brazil's a big market, Italy's a big market, Africa. A lot of countries and a lot of cultures are really in love with anime, and the Japanese media is realizing, hey, we got to promote to them too.
What you're defining is still censorship, by the way. It's not the mangaka's censorship either. It's the company that owns their work, that they made themselves. And it's what he doesn't understand.
Also, we're not including China in this, considering the fact that even before this video, they literally tried to make a law, and I'm pretty sure they were able to make a law that they would rather you be gay than be a femboy, and they still have an issue with you being gay.
Yeah.
We gotta get them involved because they're paying customers. They buy the stuff and they have to keep going. They have to keep making their bank. Before they were a small part. America in the 2000s.
Also, to point out, we're still a small part. Like, people underestimate, and me and Kendra have to deal with this all the time with Anitubers, is people are like, anime is really not that big in Japan. It's just a small niche subculture. No, anime is the dominant culture of Japan as far as media goes. Yeah. It's like genuinely a small part of their money comes from outside of Japan. A super small fraction.
Yep. Listen, it's like Family Guy and The Simpsons here. Yeah, and not everybody watches The Simpsons, but you'd be stupid to think that The Simpsons has not done something to like just American pop culture in general. Same with Star Wars, same with everyone. Every other pop culture zeitgeist thing. Even if everybody doesn't participate, there's a large enough group that like produces a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like you don't see manga selling trillions and billions of volumes just to be like, it's not that big.
Yeah. The one I always use as an example is because it's hard to find a good example in America because nothing in America is as ubiquitous as anime. But it's kind of like going up to somebody and being like, hey, have you ever heard of superheroes in America? And they'd be like, no, what's a superhero? It's just something that would never happen, ever. Maybe they didn't even watch like Superman on TV, but they know what it is.
Yep. Spider-Man too.
Yeah.
2000s and 90s were not a huge market for anime, but now they're one of the biggest, and so they have.
We're not. We have the amount. I think it's not a perfect analog, but to look up like gacha spending, Japan is spending all the money, not by a small amount either.
Quite literally, you can go to a convention, and it is a common sentiment. If you have copyrighted material, hide it, because they genuinely have lawyers that walk around to Artist Alley's booth, just handing them cease and desist.
Yeah.
Like, you can't sell that, you can't sell that, you can't sell that. What can I sell? Just don't sell it.
Have to appeal to that demographic to keep selling manga. And while some creators have pushed back on this Americanization of anime, studios are noticing that that's a big part of the market share. And for better or worse, a lot of Western audiences don't want all that erotic stuff in their shows. Increasingly, they're becoming more critical of it. And many have actually said explicitly they think there's too much of it in there, and it turns them off the product because they see it too often.
Then leave. Product's not for you.
What are they watching with a lot of fan service? Because there's a ton of fan service series out there, but there's equally more fan service series out there.
Yeah,
One Punch Man is one of them. You can't what you still watching that stuff for little boys? You're not picking up. You're not going to the young adult section.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Done by the UCLA Center for Scholars and Storytellers found that teens and young adults, Gen Z specifically, want more animation. They want more animation and less erotic content in their films. 48.4% said there was too much sexual content in media nowadays, which itself is seen a decline in how much is in their films on a regular basis. We're getting way fewer nude scenes today than we did 20 years ago, especially in mainstream cinema. Hell,
here's the important part with that group, though. They don't spend money. That's the thing. That group spends less money on merch and products than any other group in like the history of just ever. They don't buy anything.
Not only that, but I actually recognize that article, and he's lying here. It's not about anime. It's just about filmmaking in general.
Yeah, it's about movies.
And even then, people even just if you actually read the article, it's literally just talking about teens and how like teens and like young adults who are like just awkward about sex.
Yeah.
Because guess this, the current generation is really awkward about sex, which is why when they include sex compared to say back then, they don't know how to do it either tastefully or just period, because they just have no idea how to interact with the opposite sex.
We asked a bunch of minors how they felt about sex, and they got awkward about it. Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder if there could be
20-year-old.
I wonder if there could be some other reason.
We asked a bunch of 20-year-olds that had a bunch of failed relationships and had penile dysfunctions. Unfortunately, they said that they couldn't go back to having a relationship, and that the topic of sex is just something they cannot bear to hear anymore.
Most Disney films used to have at least one kiss on the face. Now, you barely have hand-holding. So, you're seeing a gradual decline across the board.
I haven't watched recent Disney films, but I'm pretty sure that's not true.
Number one, the reason for that is not because of people that's not even because of people in animation being awkward about romance. It's because of people just complaining, well, girls should focus more on romance. And then when the girls started focusing more on romance, they're like, everybody's kind of like, huh. We kind of want to come back a little bit to have at least a little bit of romance.
Yeah.
Anime may be more popular than ever, but fan service is not driving people to it. Again, going back to Chibi Reviews and those guys, you see these culture critics going to Twitter and saying, ooh, this guy didn't like the fan service in the show, as though it's a big news story next to government crackdowns on content. But, like, honestly, maybe that's the voice that the companies are listening to because they're the loud.
See, he doesn't understand that he just admitted it's a problem. It's like they bring up this guy that doesn't like fan service instead of the government crackdown, but maybe that guy is why it got censored. Yeah, that's what we're saying. People like that being loud and annoying is why shit keeps getting censored.
Not only that, but he's bringing up the white dot censorship again for the China. He does realize that this is a meme.
Yeah.
Like, it's not real. They just color the blood away. This is like a whole meme.
They're not the louder voices, but they're the more common voices. You know, who's buying all this? Who's watching all this? The massive market share or the smaller niche market share? There will always be shows for that niche, but maybe the reason...
He says this, right? Like, it's a super clever, obvious point. It's like, who's actually spending more, the big market share or the niche market share? The answer is the niche market share. If you look at, again, I have to bring up gacha spending, over 90% of their spending comes from a small group of whales. It does not come from the majority of people that buy their product. It literally all comes from a small group of people that spend way too much money compared to everybody else. And it's not even close.
Not only that, but it's like, okay, yes, it's niche. They're mostly censoring the niche stuff that only the fans would want of those series that bought that series.
Like, who do you think a company makes more money off of? Do you think they make more off of 100 people that buy like one $5 keychain? Or do you think they make more money off one person that bought 20 figures that were all $700 each? It shouldn't be hard to figure it out.
Clearly, you don't understand, Mizu. Money is valuable.
Yeah,
that $5 could go to me and my yacht.
This is just somebody, because I actually have talked about this on Twitter a couple times, but there's a couple people who, like, in my head, this sounds logical, so it's true. It's like, well, just because it sounds logical doesn't mean it's true. There's a lot of stuff that we think makes sense, and it's just wrong.
Yep.
And then thank you, Internet Zen. As a Seattle, again, influenced hard by Japan around here, he's a filthy liar. They want fan service, especially Gen Z guys. Harem literature would not have taken off if not for them. I would also say that, because I'm sure Kendra's seen this as well on Twitter, a ton of people will say that they hate fan service, and then you'll hold up their favorite series in front of them and be like, well, that's not fan service. Like, it's important that she's butt naked for the plot.
Yeah. Listen, I am witnessing in real time on Instagram of people who went from, ew, the icky shoujo series are problematic to, my shoujo series may be problematic, but it's my problematic series.
Yeah. There was one I saw today where somebody was like, oh, the icky fan service has got to go. And somebody says, well, what's your favorite anime? And then the first thing they fire back was Soul Eater. Like, you realize the entire first episode of Soul Eater is Maka and Soul getting sexually harassed by a naked Catwoman that wears, like, the world's smallest mini crop top.
She doesn't even wear the mini crop top. She wears, like, the skimpiest, tightest, shortest dress that you will ever see. And her literal introduction is literally her in a bathtub naked and soul diving deep thirst first into a window into said bath.
Yeah. And then people were posting scenes back at them of Death the Kid squeezing his gun's boobs and saying, "I hate your boobs because they're like not the same size."
Yep, that sounds about right.
And that's how it is. They'll say like, "I hate fan service," and then you'll ask them, "Well, what's your favorite series?" And they're like, Their answer is the most fan service laden series ever created.
Reason that these other shows aren't having as much in that it's explicit is because they're trying to appeal to that larger demographic, and that's become.
I don't know why you're showing Muscles and Magic, because I'm pretty sure it did not have like a widespread appeal. It was literally in itself, it is a fan service show. It's just not sexual fan service. It's people that like the overpowered Isekai protagonist.
Not only that, it's literally geared to people who are like, if you like One Punch Man, you will like this series. Like, that is a niche.
Yeah.
Not only that, but it's like, they're not doing it because they want to target a demographic. As I've said in the past, with stuff like My Hero Academia, they're just bad at writing fan service.
Yeah.
Like, just really, really bad at it. They're not good at it.
Oh. No, I'll get back to it later.
More prominent the bigger the audience becomes. And even
Mizu the Crop Top was the mouse girl that was made of 5 smaller mice girls. Technically, she was made of 6 smaller mice girls, but one of them got like their insides turned outsides before we got to see her. I am curious what she would have looked like with all 6 mice, because she looked like a full-grown woman with the 5 mice. So I am curious as to what like I wish she was a little shorter, right? Because I kind of wanted to be able to feel like the 6 mice tall girl would look like an actual like full grown woman. But now I have to think, is she like giant woman if we have all 6? Like, what's the ruling for that?
You can blame Medusa for 2 things: getting rid of cute mice girl, Krona.
Yeah.
In Japan, let's be honest here, audiences from the 80s.
So she was taller, you say? The 5 mice girl combine into like a full size woman. So like this, and she's supposed to be a collection of 6. So I guarantee the 6th one just made her like a giant woman or something. Because I don't know what else she would have done. And they stack on top of each other, like. So people are saying she would have been her boobs or ass. No, they stack on top of each other. Like. I've always wondered what the 6 tall mice girl would have looked like. That's what I want to ask the author of Soul Eater. Is I want to be like, what does the 6 tall mice girl look like? Did you actually have a plan for her? Like in your head, did you have a vision for what 6 tall looks like?
Are different from audiences in the 2020s. You know, there's a total difference there. And I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing, because I think a lot of moments in anime, both modern and older, are elevated due to its frank discussion of erotic media. And it's not just, you know, me, a cynical person, saying that it's getting less sexual. Look to the anime veterans. Yoshiyuki Tomino has made some choice comments about stuff like Your Name being far, far, far too clean in its depictions of romance. It's a trend across the board, but maybe there's something else going on here. I've been an anime fan for a very long time, and I've seen some wild shows, and some of them are really great, but a lot feel the same. They feel repetitive. The cycle continues and continues. Unless it's extremely chaotic or distinct, it becomes white noise to me. I'm more moved by character moments that further the plot and ideas of the narrative than I am animation loops I've seen 100 times at this point, and done better in the past. There are moments in shows like Dan Dan and My Dress Up Darling that kind of incorporate fan service with plot and characterization, emphasizing the confusing and exciting times characters are going through when they're first.
I did a quick look of it. They have never disclosed what a 6-body Mizune looks like. They have shown a 5-body, a 3-body, and a 2-body. They skipped the 4-body completely. But they have never shown or explained what a 6-body Mizune looks like.
Okay.
Also, this is what the 3-body looks like for the chat. I am genuinely curious what the 6 tall Mizune looks like.
I think she just would have had bigger boobs.
coming to terms with their interests in people in that way. I think, personally, a great scene in My Dress Up Darling that is a fan service scene that really helps further the plot.
This is why Marin is on the front.
It's in the first season, so at the end of the first season, and it's where Marin and Gojo, they spend an evening at a love hotel. Hijinks ensue and all that. And it allows us to kind of see these characters who are definitely friends with each other and are flirting with the idea of becoming more than that, and their tensions between the two of them, their shyness, the insecurities. There's a great little moment where Gojo grabs Marin's waist, and the visual communicates how the little touch sends a new sensation throughout her whole body, throughout Marin's whole body. But it's quick and short, and it's done through visual shorthand that communicates exactly what they're trying to say very quickly. And it focuses more on the characters' faces, their reaction to this moment of touch. It shows us just enough to tell us what's going on.
Bro, they animated every single little movement of her belly jiggle when he grabbed her.
Not only
like,
that,
you were coping so fucking hard.
Not only that, the reason why he also grabbed her like that was because he was popping a bone.
He's like cutting around the scene, but there's literally a part of the scene where it shows like his dick pressing up against her crotch. Like, you're genuinely cutting around the scene.
Not only that, but you're trying to compare a genuine character, like, driven story to your popcorn harem. Yeah. Sometimes the popcorn harem is for the popcorn. You're there just because you have a favorite best girl. Because I said this a while ago. I've been getting recommended anime quote unquote stand-up comedians, and it's like, can we all agree that harem anime aren't that good? And it's like, nobody watches harem anime for the plot. You pick a best girl, you stick with that best girl. That's the reason why you pick up that series. Not My Dress Up Darling. You are there for Gojo and Marin's romance. That is the only reason why you're there, like most romance series.
Yeah.
It's like picking up 100 girlfriends and being like, oh, man, I can't believe there's harem in this 100 girlfriend series.
Which is why people that followed My Dress Up Darling literally were about to riot when it made it look like they were going to break up for a little bit.
And then got really mad that we didn't get to see the after effects of their marriage life.
Yeah.
But it focuses
not everything can be Takagi.
Yeah.
Characters feel. It's a character moment rather than a fan service moment. But
see, like, you're showing in the background, like, we're panning the camera up her, like, thick thighs and getting, like, under the thigh panty shots. And it's like, you're such a dumbass. Genuinely.
Like, bro, it's a fan service series and it's a good character study. You're trying to separate the two when they go hand in hand. That's how it is. It's okay to admit that.
Yeah.
Is sprinkled throughout the whole scene. Some fan service sequences feel voyeuristic, which I think can also be to the show's benefit. And a good example of this is the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is, I think,
This is why Misato's on the cover. I don't even want to spoil it. I don't know if it'd be funnier if I spoil it or if I just let them make the argument, so I'm just going to let them make the argument.
Let's make the argument.
Very voyeuristic series. Throughout the whole show, we told repeatedly that we're getting lots of fan service on the way. Next episode, there's gonna be fan service. And like, okay, you prep yourself for it. You expect your cheesy guy. Gainax was known for this. They're known for the Gainax bounce after all. So in the Gainax show, promising fan service, like, yeah, okay, we'll get to it. And you're waiting. And Daikon, you think, Daikon 4 and 3 had all this stuff, Gunbuster, all this stuff. You think it's gonna be something similar to that. It's teasing and it's teasing and it's teasing, and you're waiting and you're getting more uncomfortable, and then you get what you asked for, but you realize it's not what you wanted. The first hint of it comes in a scene where Shinji walks into Rei's apartment. Early in the show, I think it's the 5th episode. He has to deliver this nerve badge to her. It's like the company, the organization they work for. And he's in the apartment, and it's completely minimalistic. There's no sense of personality here. It's like a broken set of Shinji's dad's glasses on a countertop. And he looks, he's going, why are these here? He picks them up, he looks at them, and in walks Rei, who's just come out of the shower, bathing, whatever. And, it's a teenage boy in a room with a girl he he knows who's completely naked except for a towel on. And the scene what's so uncomfortable is it's shot in almost complete silence. There's all the sounds like mechanical noises outside, and you can see Shinji's discomfort. It's like the same scene with Marin and Gojo from My Dress Up Darling. There's tension, it's uncertainty. It's a girl, who he likes. But Rei has no reaction. The only reaction, that's not true. She has one reaction. She's pissed about the glasses being touched. She doesn't care that Shinji sees her naked, or falls on top of her, or does all that. She has no outward reaction to it. And it's...
You see, he's talking about this, and he's going, this makes me deeply uncomfortable. It's like, we have, specifically in an interview from Anno, where people asked him, so is Rei like some sort of deconstruction of like certain anime tropes? And he's like, no, I made Asuka and Rei because I find that type of woman hot. He is very explicitly on record. No, you're not supposed to be uncomfortable with this. I find them hot.
Not only that, but even if you were supposed to be uncomfortable with it, that's like one scene out of many other fan service scenes that happen in between Evangelion. These specific scenes are supposed to be character driven, and then immediately followed with, I'm messed up.
Yeah. It mixes character driving forces while also having a naked woman on screen.
Yep.
Also, like
Just
how
look
he
at
says she's
Misato.
pissed. It's like, no, part of her character is that she's never like anything. Like, even in your own scene, you can clearly tell she's not like visibly pissed.
Deeply unsettling. It's deeply uncomfortable. You think, oh, it's a fan servicey scene, you've seen it 100 times, but Rei's lack of a reaction makes it go from, oh, it's a cheesy scene I've seen 100 times before in another anime, to this is actually really disquieting, and I don't feel comfortable with this. Something's
Yeah, but that's a you problem.
off here. It's one of many early hints that there's something deeply wrong with Rei based on how she reacts like this, where her priorities are. And it's a great moment of feeling like you're walking in something uninvited, but also advancing characterization in a way it's really compelling. Another example of fan service being used to promote an uncomfortable idea is in the modern show.
This isn't supposed to be a fan service scene.
It's really not.
I don't know why people keep saying it's supposed to be a fan service scene. This is like saying the stuff that happens between Okurun and Granny is supposed to be fan service. It's not supposed to be This is actually a scene that's meant to make you uncomfortable, because throughout modern media, we have had probing jokes forever, and we are always meant to go ha ha, laugh laugh. As soon as it happens to a young teenage girl who's on the fight, suddenly everybody's like, we need to have a discussion on why probing is not an okay thing to joke about.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
This is one that's kind of voyeuristic, but not really. And I'm going to compare it to Evangelion later too. We're going to have more Evangelion discussion as well. But in Dandadan, we see the main characters pursued by aliens who abduct them and want to steal their bananas, as the aliens put it so delicately. This results in several scenes of the aliens who look like Japanese businessmen, suits and all, very almost like caricatures of them, trying to take the characters and exploit their bodies for their own purposes. These scenes, however, they start off voyeuristic. You're seeing these characters who you like in a compromised position, but then it ends with an exciting action scene. It always gets turned around in some way to be like some shonen action sequence where the characters take power of a situation that's out of their control and turn it around on these aliens, in some way, and to varying extent. And, let's be honest, it's a well-known fact that Japanese businessmen in Japan have been known to grope women.
You have any thoughts, Kendra?
The reason why they're Japanese businessmen is because they're trying to blend in. And again, it's not supposed to be taken it's not supposed to be fan service. It's supposed to be taken seriously because it's a horrifying alien probing kidnapping scene. And if you feel titillated by it, you should probably turn off the computer. You are actually porn brain.
This guy is... I already hated the video, but when I got to this part, I was like, you are huffing your own farts, like, really bad, dude. Like, I think you're overdosing on your own farts at this point. Like, where did you get this from?
All I'm saying is like I've been thinking about it since he brought up the right wing because it's always the right wing. I really just think he stole all this information from like other Anitubers that he hated so that he could say it and sound smarter.
I guess probably. Thank you, Internet Zen. Anthony cites Erika Yoshida's nonsense for Bocchi the Rock. Also, Anthony completely ignores what the creators of Eva said about Rei and Asuka.
Like again, if you want, like with Rei and Asuka, like there's clearly serious moments with them. The problem is that let's be real here. It's like My Dress Up Darling. It's a serious moment, and it's hot.
Yep.
Especially young girls. There's signs in every train warning people not to do it, as well as reporting it if you see it. And, you know, there's something to be said there for a show about teenagers looking at people who harmed them in real life, taking power for themselves out of a situation that makes them feel powerless. There's something to be said there that's empowering, but also uncomfortable. And that wouldn't happen if you censored everything. But I want to go back to Evangelion again, because there's one scene in particular that I think, well, actually, there's two scenes I want to talk about.
Yeah, we're immediately going back to Evangelion. And this is why Misato's on the cover.
With the same character. And that's a scene where you get this sense of build up to something and you get this sense of powerlessness. But there is...
We're literally going to talk about the scene where Misato gets her back blown out, by the way.
Wait, what?
You not know about this meme?
I have not. I didn't watch Evangelion.
So she actually does, this guy she's walking with, they actually do have like a relationship. And there is a scene where you don't see it, but it is like very obvious what's going on and that she's getting her back blown out by this guy.
Okay.
There's no catharsis, it's just discomfort. Throughout the whole show, Misato Katsuragi, she's an adult. The one who's teasing fan service all the time. She flirts and is inappropriate around minors, but you find out that she does this because it's a coping mechanism. She is a traumatized person who has seen some horrible stuff, and the only way she can process her grief and pain is through hypersexualization. Specifically, either presenting herself as a flirty, careless, carefree person, or by intimacy with people like Kaji, her male love interest. And there are two scenes in the show where we see them make love. And the first time, both times towards the end of the show, after teasing this relationship between them. First time, it's at the end of episode 20. Shinji just got absorbed by Ava Unit 1 and got burst out of him. You know, it's a whole burst out of her, it's a whole thing. But Misato and Kaji afterwards have a moment of intimacy, a private moment together. And the camera lingers off the couple. It lingers on like the corner of the room, a mirror. And you're left in almost complete silence. There's no music. It's just you hear the sounds of sheets rustling, and that's it. And you feel like you've walked in on something that you shouldn't. You feel like you're peeking through the windows of something you really shouldn't be looking at. And
like
that's not that. What? This isn't a fan service moment. This is actually a character building moment. Why are we conflating these two?
This is the kind of person he is. It's weird. Like the existence of, I don't like to call people incels, but this is somebody who is genuinely, continuously saying the existence of sex and female nudity makes me uncomfortable. It's like, you're just an incel, brother.
you don't get a good look at anything. All you get is the impression of what's happening. You know what's going on, but you see nothing. And it's uncomfortable. It's tense. It's not pleasant. It doesn't even seem like a relief after all the horror in the rest of the episode. You're lingering there, and it's deeply uncomfortable stuff. And it's a disturbing scene. It really has something unlike anything else, I think. But then there's the second time you see them make love, and that's at the end. There's a sequence in Evangelion called the Instrumentality Sequence. The Instrumentality Project, this whole thing that's being teased at the whole show. And at the end of the series, characters' experiences blend, and other people are able to witness every thought you've had hidden your whole life, all your vulnerabilities, all your secrets. And so Misato and Shinji have a moment where each of them sees into the other's heart. And Shinji sees Misato's memory of Kaji in college where they made love. And you see this from two angles, depending on what version of the ending you're watching. If you're watching the end of Evangelion, the movie version of
just doing the regular pause, I'm going to just let this scene play out, and then we can see his thoughts on this.
Okay.
the scene. You see Shinji watching the scene happen, and it's always shot, but you just see their feet. You don't really see anything explicit, and you see Shinji kind of dealing with this uncomfortable scene, and Misato saying, you know, this is a part of me. You have to understand this is who I am. You know, this, that, and the third. In the anime ending, though, I think it's really interesting. The original series ending, you just cut to Misato looking at Shinji, looking over her, and her screaming in horror over it. Her feeling profoundly humiliated, vulnerable, as though she's, you know, not just like angry, but like deeply hurt and afraid that she'll be judged for him seeing her like this. It's intensely voyeuristic and intensely disturbing. This is not a scene that makes you feel good. It's a scene that makes you feel depressed. You feel miserable watching from both angles because you're seeing people at their most vulnerable being examined clinically.
And I think Kendra can kind of understand why I had to go through the definition of fan service at the start of this. Because for some reason, he thinks just the hint of female nudity in any form is fan service. Even if you literally do not see the nudity, the implication that there is nudity off screen is fan service.
Yeah.
And like you hit that towards the end of this video where he's like, this is fan service, this is fan service, this is fan service. It's like, none of this is fan service. Literally none of this is. I don't think you know what the word means.
It's not fan service, it's not voyeuristic. He's just saying stuff. He's just saying stuff.
He's trying to sound really smart. And it doesn't work because he has his basic definitions wrong. Thank you, Internet Zen. 1, that's not fan service, Anthony. 2, he even said it's an intimate moment, not fan service. 3, neither scene is fan service. 4, bro is legit incel coded.
Yeah, he's okay. Here's the thing: there's the stupid dumb incels that hate women, and then there's the stupid dumb incels that think they understand women. And then the stupid dumb incels that they think they can understand the mind of a woman. This is that. This is that.
And it's upsetting.
This
is how this can be done artfully. This sequence doesn't show you anything explicit, but you know exactly what's going on, and it's deeply upsetting. It's witnessing voyeurism, both from the perspective of the voyeur and watching the voyeur voyeuring, you know? And that communicates a lot. But what about ordinary fan services? We're not talking about heavy stuff, but just fun stuff. Well, you know, that's different, but, you know, as you get older, your perspective on that changes. I'll give you a personal example. I recently decided to rewatch Rama 1/2. I watched the Netflix remake season 1 before the new show, and I thought I want to watch more before the season comes out, so I'll watch the old stuff again too. And you know, these characters, like these goofy goobers, they get into over-the-top silly hijinks. They're fun and silly, and it makes you feel warm and nostalgic. But when I'm watching it now as an adult, it feels different than when you were a kid. When you were a kid, these characters were your age. You know, I read Rama when I was like 13, 14.
He's gonna say a bunch of stuff in here that, I don't say this lightly, makes me go, I think you should probably have your hard drive checked. I have never genuinely in my life, I have never heard anyone talk about fictional kids this way.
Let's see.
Was the age of the characters in that story, and so you feel like, oh, I can relate to this. This is a intimate thing I can feel connected to. But you know, watching it as an adult, you're like, oh, it's like you almost have like a parental kind of a parent looking after these kids. You know, and you have a sense of like paternal like affection where you're like, oh, you want to protect these poor kids. Oh, these kids are so sweet, you know. And you know, it's different. Then you feel like secondhand embarrassment for it. And when you're a kid, when they get embarrassed, you know what they're going through. You feel that embarrassed because you're living through it actively. You know, adolescence is a rough time. It's full of changes, it's full of your body altering and your perspectives changing, and so that's relevant, that's recent. When you're an adult watching it though, that's the past. You've processed all that, you've come to terms with all that, and so it's like you're watching your stupid children and you feel like a nice warm bond towards them.
Keep in mind, because this probably doesn't sound as bad, keep in mind the subject is naked fan service.
Also, I don't feel that way about anime. What is it with these people being like, I have a bond with these characters? I don't have a bond with these characters. Tell the story.
So again, keep it in mind, we're talking about, by his words, half-naked 13 and 14-year-olds. And then he says, watching your children and you feel like a nice warm bond to them. And it's like, why did you say it that way about this particular subject? Like,
The
why?
warm bond of Ranma just ripping his shirt off multiple times.
Yeah.
Especially in the Ranma remake, that nippleless child.
Thank you, Shining Diamond. I thought right-wingers hate fan service. Like, far-right Christians probably do.
You know, it's different. There's a spectrum from collecting doujinshi to getting angry when anime adaptations make slightly less revealing outfits. There's a growing subset of people who get angry, who are my age, who get angry that the fan service aimed for teenagers is changing. I don't get that. I really don't. It doesn't make... I don't understand why you're so angry about shows choosing to make something different for a demographic that is shifting, that is different. You are no longer the demographic that's aimed for. That's aimed for teenagers. It's their way of processing their complicated feelings. But when you're 20, 30, like, you have to look at it differently, because you're a different person. You're no longer the target demographic. And there's stuff for adults that has that, you know. Just read Black Lagoon, read Hellsing, read... those are old titles too, now I'm thinking about it.
I don't know why he says Hellsing, because I could think of maybe 2 scenes in Hellsing that I would consider fan service. I mean, like, there's plenty in Hellsing that I would argue is sort of, like, non-sexual fan service. But, because I know we're talking about specifically, like, naked women. There's, like, literally 2 scenes with Saris, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Everything else is action fan service with Alucard just, like, blowing the shit out of Nazis.
Yep. Not only that, but he's trying to be like, well, some of it you aged out of, and some of it is stuff you aged out of. Like,
but then he brings up like remakes, you know, like Ranma. Like, who do you think is watching the Ranma remake, if not the people that grew up with Ranma?
Those people at least got to see Ranma naked.
Yeah. Or like with Lum, because Lum got a remake recently as well. Who do you think is watching that, if not the people that grew up with it?
Not only that, but like again, Lum birthed waifu culture. Quite literally, you can thank most modern anime culture because of Lum. Only people who were there are going to appreciate Lum.
Yeah.
Mostly because they haven't even made a season 2 for the Urusei Yatsura remake.
Read Berserk. And again, very mature, very adult. Got your stuff in there that you want to see. There's a whole seinen manga collections and josei manga collections that have adult relationships with adult conflict, with adult erotica in it. And there's other stories like My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness that deals with the dark side of that as well, very intimately. And I feel like...
See, he's recommending you to go read something you don't want. Like, well, just go watch, like, go watch series that are based on, like, mature old women stories. Yeah, no, that's not what I want. And yes, he does cite Berserk as a place to go for erotic fan service.
Maybe like one scene.
Not just Berserk. You have to keep, he's suggesting places for you to go for erotic fan service, and 2 of his big examples are Berserk and Hellsing. He has not watched these shows.
Yeah.
But that's why we had to go through the definition of fan service at the start, because his definition of fan service is has a naked woman, or has an implication of a naked woman.
Not only that, but he brought up My Lesbian, the Lesbian Life manga, which is not a bad series. The problem is number one, that's an autobiography. It's a manga autobiography, and if you're not into manga autobiographies like I am sometimes, you're not going to have a good time. There's also the fact that the author tends to spiral a lot because, get this, an autobiography has a lot of self-deprecation.
Especially when it's called, like, what did he say, My Lonely Lesbian Life?
Yeah. Like it's really kind of depressing. Like it's cute, but it's also like really depressing to read sometimes. You don't like autobiographies, it's gonna be kind of depressing to read.
Yeah.
A lot of these adult creators are so obsessed with what the teens are consuming that they're not reading what they should, dealing with adult relationships from their perspectives. I don't know. Maybe just my changing perspectives as an adult. I just find it weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm just out of touch with what people want to see.
Also, he glanced over Uzaki.
I don't know. But I just feel like it's the fan service heavy stuff keeps getting more superficial, too. Like, it's just fan service, and there's no other plot, no characters, no meaningful stuff to it that I want to gravitate towards.
You're going to hate to hear this, Anthony. The definition of fan service is it has nothing to do with the plot. It has minimal, if any, effect on the plot. That is why it is called fan service. You're not just out of touch with what people want, you're out of touch with the definitions of the words you're talking about.
And the reason why it sucks is just because the authors themselves just don't understand women or even understand their own male audience, because they probably haven't gotten married either to understand why people like fan service.
Yeah.
Again, My Hero Academia's entire female fan service, outside of probably like Mountain Lady's introduction, is like really bad.
Shows have gone to such taboos already that there's nothing that can show you that's shocking anymore. Outside of some shows with morbid fascination to what they're doing, it's like, it's whatever. Some of the characters too.
That's a.
Do you actually think that gushing over magical girls is that far extreme that people would be shocked by it?
Again, people who think the whole lesbians should only be ooh woo, nice hold hands and stuff. That's what I'm seeing. Not only that, but
it's literally light BDSM.
Not only is it light BDSM, it's a fetish show that doubles as a magical girl parody show. This show is technically made for people like me who grew up with parody magical girls, meaning you're not supposed to take it seriously until it wants you to take it seriously. That's how it always goes. But because you only watch the mainstream stuff and never will ever branch out of your zone because you just want to consume without actually critical thinking until it prevents you, your brain, until your two brain cells rub together to be like, I think this means more, and it isn't. There you go.
I also have to bring up, and I think Kendra probably agrees with me on this, is he keeps saying like, you don't understand, like all the new stuff, nobody likes fan service in it. Like what? Name one new show that has been extremely popular that did not have a bunch of fan service. Just one. And you won't be able to do it. Because first off, as much as like some people hate to admit it, the most popular pieces of media right now are isekai. And most isekai is harem adjacent. And you're going to sit here, look me dead in the eyes, and say the industry does not like fan service.
Now I can do you one better. Recently, KyoAni released an anime, and everyone, at least every female I saw in my timeline, was frothing at the mouth of this one guy's butt who was overly animated. And it didn't help that the brother was hot, too. So it was just it was just days of people it was just frothing at this guy's butt, and how the animators likely had fun drawing this guy's butt. They just wouldn't shut up about it. So you got men on one side going after the harem, and women on another side going after a guy's butt. Everyone likes fan service. They just think their fan service is superior.
Yeah. Also, somebody said Frieren. Frieren spends 90% of the show with her tights-covered ass sticking out of a mimic.
Yep.
Thank you, Internet Zen Master says, or stick with me here. Anthony, anime fans my age watched both Hellsing, Berserk, Black Lagoon, and fan service animes like Grenadier growing up. One of the first three, only Black Lagoon had the rare fan service.
Yep. Also Ubel. Yes, yeah, Ubel indeed.
I don't like a lot of the moe shows. Well, my issue with it is that you feel like
also not fan service, but Fern is indeed stacked. They really wanted her to have some titty.
Even Frieren has slight fan service scenes.
Oh yeah, the clothes dissolving.
Clothes dissolving. Like, again, specific shots that are framed around Frieren's butt. Fern just having boobs.
Yeah.
Stark being just heck, the fan service of just a couple getting together.
Yeah. all the action scenes are pretty much fan service.
Yeah.
They're passively reactive characters. A lot of moe blobs, they're so passive, and it's so different. You know, you look at Mikuru, right, from Haruhi Suzumiya, great example of that. And you compare her to Faye Valentine, or Revi, or Misato Katsuragi, and, you know, Mikuru and these other moe blobs, they're so reactive, and they don't have any spine to hold themselves up, where these other women are like...
See...
Why are we going after Mikuru like that?
Not just that, but, like, I don't think you know what the plot of Haruhi Suzumiya is. Literally, all three of them are, in some degree, like, playing a character. Specifically because they believe that Haruhi is a god, and they kind of have to keep her happy. In, like, in a very specific way.
Not only that, Mikuru, it's literally stated in the show, that's her when she's doing her job the first time. We see her future self, like other times in the series, who's a lot more confident and a lot more sociable. Still ditzy, but definitely a lot more than what she is back then. Because again, she's just starting her job when she's in Haruhi right now, in the beginning.
Yeah.
That's why she's the time traveler.
And then thank you, Shining Diamond. Baywatch didn't get 1 billion in ratings for writing. Yeah.
You know, characters with wants and desires and directive. You get complexity there. And I just feel like we're getting such superficial stuff now. I don't know.
I don't know why you said such superficial stuff now, and you're bringing up fucking Haruhi Suzumiya. Brother, people like wound me every day when they remind me that very technically Haruhi Suzumiya can be considered retro anime.
There's also the fact that the author is like, I thought you didn't like my stuff, which is why Haruhi went out of relevancy, because he stopped hiding, came back and was like, you guys still want to see me write? I don't know. And people are like, please write.
Yeah. Like... You know, all the recent stuff like Haruhi Suzumiya. Brother, this video came out 11 months ago. Haruhi came out 20 years ago. It's old enough to drink.
I think I'm losing touch a lot with why certain people want to see this stuff, because I no longer really am driven to seek it out. And I think as a result of that, my perspective again comes to...
I'd like to point out, like, he's doing it as a meme, and chat can't see it because it's behind my head. But twice now, while he's giving this speech, he has zoomed in on the Chobits book and the stacked big giantess woman book.
Do you like big girls, chat? Do you?
You know, I just don't like these like fan service series anymore. Zoom in on my own books in the background. Shut the fuck up, dude. Like, it's not a good meme when you do that. It's just pointing out, like, yes, I know I'm a complete fucking hypocrite and I should have never made this video.
Not only that, but the reason why you probably hate it is because you just keep trying to watch you're basically watching back-to-back romance series with the same archetypes, the same this, that, and the other. And there are fans for that for a reason, so that you can distance yourself from that and go find all the super cool stuff like me, because most of my favorite series are the psychological stuff, because I branched out and stopped just watching anime and going to go read manga, and the anime I do watch are sometimes just original series, or if they are in one season like series, I go read the manga. This also includes reading the icky gross stuff out there that you consider icky gross, because get this, I already know what I'm getting into when I pick up this type of series, because I actually research my series before picking up and look at the tags.
Chat says, is he making a joke? He's trying to be self-aware. The problem is, that's not really self-awareness. That's just you being a hypocrite. When you make, like, there's ways to be self-aware, right? Like, when I make fun of him for his voice, I am keenly aware that a lot of people, like, over the phone say I sound like a woman. And I would be like, I'm allowed to make fun of your voice because, like, my voice sucks too. You know? That's different than somebody saying, I'm going to make this argument that people with cringy voices shouldn't have an opinion. And then that's like, and I know I have a cringy voice, but I don't count. That's just being hypocritical. That, like, my argument holds no value because I don't actually believe in it. As soon as it's something I like or it's something that's related to me, I'm just going to throw it out the window. And thank you, Internet Zen says, damn it, Mizu, I just took an emotional, spiritual, and psychic damage from the statement that Haruhi's old enough to drink. Yeah.
How these tools can be used to further the quality of writing. How it can be used to tell a stronger story. And so for me, I think it can be art. And we're seeing it becoming art. But you gotta consider always the biggest rule of storytelling. Does it service not the fans, but the story? Okay, it's been a while since...
So you're writing, but there will be no fans if there's no story.
Yeah, so that is one thing, is that has always been one of the worst pieces of writing advice you can give somebody. Of, does it serve the plot? Not everything serves the plot. You know, we joke about, sometimes the curtains are just blue. By your belief of everything has to service the plot, the curtains can't be just blue. The guy can't just live in a house. The house has to have some service to the plot. The curtains have to have some service to the plot. And that's when you start you make things too dense and too annoying to read when you have that sort of belief. Some stuff is just fun.
Yeah, not only that, but by that definition, that means you shouldn't include any gay character at all, because what's the point of them, when you pull them into a straight story, what's the point of adding a gay character to a straight story?
Yeah, what do they serve to the plot?
Exactly. Because if it's a romance between straight people, why include a gay character? Just have it just be about a bunch of straight people. In fact, why even include single people? And it sounds ridiculous, but once you apply it multiple times, it's yeah. But people add those things because they want to show their life experience, or they want to add something goofy, or they want to say something about it. I say the fan service in My Hero Academia isn't good, and it's kind of dumb. But Horikoshi wanted to add it for his own reason, because he at least wanted to try, or an editor told him to, and he wanted to at least still try it. It ain't good, but he still tried it. And I think he's better off not doing it, and instead focusing on what his strong suits are. But that doesn't mean I'm going to tell him to stop drawing manga forever because of it. That's just how it is.
Thank you, Toa says, I know it's 10 minutes or 10 minutes late. But yeah, the author of the lesbian autobiography wrote about drinking herself into pancreatic failure. So yeah, depressing.
Yeah.
And then Shining Diamond says, why isn't he talking about male fan service? That's one of the funnier parts, is he shows in this entire thing one scene of male fan service, and he doesn't even address it.
Yeah.
He just skims over it completely. We have not talked about male fan service for this entire thing. He just showed one scene of it and then just moved on.
That's because he's a man. That's the problem. This was also the thing, because there was another video people recommended about how people would talk about romance, and how different romance, how we should stop calling specific things shoujo and josei and stuff. And throughout the entire video, despite going over the at least American's perspective of romance and stuff like that, not a single version of male fan service and the critique of, hey, maybe we should temper our own expectations as women to keep it down. And sometimes, and we've already had those critiques in other areas, but it's only, well, the male fan service is the problem, and that's it. And it's no, I think it should be a bigger, wider discussion, because it's always gonna be a bigger, wider discussion. But because, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But chat, I'd like to thank you all for showing up tonight and joining us for this torture. This time the video was recommended by me, so if you're upset, you can blame me for that one. But I will be sending you off to edit.exe tonight. Final thoughts on this video, Kendra?
I'm still on the outs with Ant. I will forever be on the outs with Ant. This just gave me more reason to be so not only are you, at least in my eyes, a terrible person, but you're also a terrible reviewer. So we're gonna add that onto the list.
Thank you, Rice Roni, for the 10, says Power World Server Fund. Yes, on my Discord, I do still have a public Pal World server for my Discord. So it is helpful to have a little extra payment for it because I did go for the big 32 slot server.
Dang.
My final thoughts is I really don't think he knows anything he's talking about. He kind of got in his head that this is what certain things meant. And instead of double checking and being like, is this what any of this actually means? He's just like, nah, I'm just going to run with it. I'm just going to make an entire video about all of this stuff. And I'm not actually going to look into any of it. I'm just going to go by memory.
Was it someone saying y'all on Twitch? Yes, we are both on Twitch.
Over on Twitch, I am just Mizutamari VT.
Exactly. And on Twitch, I am just Kendrillian.
And thank you guys for showing up. We may have some more stuff with Kendra later this week because I'm going to have to force Kendra to learn about the Silent Hill circumcision.
But before that, we shall learn our interview with the famous Michael Scott Earl.
That is one thing I did mean to ask you. Have you done any reading?
I am still reading the book that I got, the Concrete Chaos, that I shall be able to finish it up before we go to the interview. Yes.
Awesome, awesome. I know Akko needs to do theirs, but Hurtbox has finished his. Over on Twitch, guys, I'm going to send you to someone called Rosen et Marie. And then on Twitch, like I said, it'll be edit.exe. You guys be good. Maybe we'll see you Tuesday. But bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Also, yes, the interview is really happening. If you go to my Discord, I have a section where you can submit questions for me to ask him. Just please make sure they're appropriate. Night, everybody.
Don't worry, guys. I gotta hold back too. I can't answer. Does Bruno Mars is gay?